So we're live,
The broadcast is
everybody.
live. Let's get it. Let's get it.
I know we're probably super late. You know, there was a couple people from my IG anticipating us going live. So um we're gonna
You going? You're connected to IG now.
no, I'm not on IG now. No, I'm not on IG now. Someone hit me up on IG and asked me just now on the DMs, are y'all there? So LP
Sorry, that's my
Beeman.
fault.
No problem, no problem. And so first of all, I am Abstruse 13, Abstrusita, Bad Senorita. And I have here with me my regulars, Mrs. Curvy Impact and Mr. Al's Asylum. Everybody, we're here. We recognize that today is the 19th anniversary of September 11th, 2001, an event that goes down in American history. Why? Because who attacks America? What once happened in America is an everyday occurrence in places like Benghazi or in places like Afghanistan. Hey, Lance Beeman. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining the live.
Hi, Lance.
Lance.
So we are super ecstatic. Miss Curvy Impact. Let's get right into it. I think people, let's see. What are your thoughts on September 11th, 2001?
Well, at the time that it happened, I was still in Jersey, and I remember I was asleep and my mother woke me up like, oh, a plane hit the Twin Towers. I'm like, what the hell is the Twin Towers? Like, I didn't know that they were called that for whatever reason. But yeah, so I watched it play out. Then I get a call from my aunt. She was a chef at Stevens Institute in Hoboken, and it sits on a hill, so you can directly see the Twin Towers from her kitchen where she worked.
Wow.
And she was just crying. She was pissed off. Her coworker said she took the knife and slammed it into the cutting board. Like, that's how angry she was. And it was just a tragic situation. And then the aftermath is what really hit me, because I admit, during rush hour, 4 p.m. on the New Jersey Transit, going down the East Coast, going south, I did not want to get on a train, because a lot of Middle Eastern Indian people live in Edison, New Jersey, and work in New York, so they would be on the train during that time. It was just so scary, and I was just so paranoid at the time, and I was pissed off. I remember I went and bought a shirt with Bush W and his daddy that said same shit, different year. And that was the first time I experienced somebody like kind of attacking me for what I had on, because it was a little kid and I kind of covered the shit. And the guy's like, "Oh, show it. Why are you covering it?" I'm like, "Because I'm decent, but if you want to see it, you can see it. What's good?" I'm on the train in New York. I'm ready to fight. So, but it was crazy. And then, come to find out, I lived in Maplewood with my aunt around the time, and up the street was a pizza place, and it was a young guy in there. His name was Sammy, and we was cool. We used to go in there, get our slice, and they were closed for vacation, and they said they'd be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks went by, 3, 4, 5. So then we finally see Sammy, and he moving out, and we're like, "Where you going?" He's like, "I got to get out of here, this is that." His uncle, the guy that owned the pizza place, was one of the guys indicted in the 9/11 hit, one of the guys that went to Guantanamo. So that's how close we were in vicinity with people that were involved. And that just blew my mind, because I've met the guy, plus Sammy, he kind of ran it mostly himself. So he was mostly there alone, but it was just crazy, especially being in Jersey, in that area, having friends who lost their parents. everything. It was just paranoia from there. We didn't know what was going to occur, and I just feel sad for everybody involved, everybody who lost their lives. I even had a friend who was a security guard down at the site who was helping clear the rubbish. And he called me and he said, "Yo, I found a hand, and inside the hand, it was a baby's hand." Just, I just think about all the traumatic stuff that these people who are cleaning up seen, health issues
Right,
that they
right,
they
right.
they attracted from this, and they receive no help, mental help, medical help, no nothing. It's the make America great again. You know, like where has it been? Where has the greatness been? Because they ain't do shit in
Right.
this time of tragedy. It's crazy, but that's it.
Yeah. Um, I remember 9/11. I was 12 years old and I was in California. And the plane already hit the World Trade Center. The first plane already hit the World Trade Center. And then I was watching it live because every single channel was like state of emergency. We're going live at the World Trade Center. Every single channel, except for maybe Cartoon Network. I remember that. It interrupted my MTV jams for the morning. And okay, Lance. Yeah, definitely do that. And so I was definitely scared. My parents were gone for work already. I was home alone, getting ready to go on the bus for school. And before long, I watched live the second plane hit the World Trade Center. And then in my 12-year-old mind, I was like, this is not an accident. This is not a fluke. Two planes hit. This is weird. And I lived in California. I lived pretty close to Camp Pendleton base. It's the largest Marine Corps base in the United States. And I was definitely concerned. I had some security concerns for that, because that was just my train of thought. Like, oh, we have one of the largest, naval station armories in the whole West Coast, very close, and that would be a tactical move. That was my concern. And there's a nuclear base on Camp Pendleton as well. A
I think
nuclear.
everybody associated with the military or near military, certain points, West Coast, East Coast, of course, as well as parts of the Midwest, Whiteman's Air Force Base and Scott Air Force Base. So I think everybody that was like attached to any type of military was kind of like really concerned about it.
Definitely from a tactical standpoint.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was my experience. 12 years old, watching MTV, breaking news. Every channel, breaking news. Can't skip this. This must be real. So that was my experience. Where were you, Mr. Al, when that occurred?
In my bed.
Okay.
In my bed.
Interesting story. Okay, so next topic, I wanted to discuss.
A friend of mine actually just got like kind of a ban on Facebook because she put "all buildings matter" today.
Really?
Oh.
Okay, so how do y'all feel about the censorship? I mean, like I get it and everything, but I do feel like, I mean, we talk about everything else. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, everybody's kind of had a death of some sort, something. I think everybody can tie themselves to some type of traumatic event. And this is, kind of a shared moment or whatever. But I do feel like it should be able to be critiqued. We should be able to discuss it. I mean, it's been a minute, man. It's been a
You
while.
right.
That's why I said, when were they great? Because they don't care about that issue
At
enough to
all.
do everything that they can, everything that they're able to do. They try to act like they broke. Like, come on, y'all find money. Somebody came up, raised a good issue and said, whenever there's money needed for the military, it's never a question. You
Definitely.
give out
Right.
however many dollars they say they
Billions.
want. But when
Right.
it comes to taking care of the people of the country, you don't do nothing. So who is America without the people? Dirt,
Right,
trees,
right.
a
Right.
sky, a sun, nothing.
Corporations.
Exactly. They wouldn't even be here. You
Right.
know,
You're right.
like
And we've seen that, like, after COVID, with the essential workers and everything, just how
right.
how how dependent we are upon one another at every level,
Mhm.
at every
Mhm.
tier.
Mhm.
Definitely.
And even
Yeah.
with that, even with people coming to those realizations, they still treat people like crap, because they feel
Right.
so elitist, so entitled to be able to do so. That's
That
why
was
the
that
whole
was my
customer service shit. I hate the customer service
right.
system. I think it is a master syndrome system, if you
That
will.
baby. Okay.
That's what I
I didn't do,
say.
I didn't do
It's
that.
like if I'm getting my product, that's it. I don't need you to kiss my ass. I don't need you to do any of those things. Okay,
Right.
I come for the product and I'm ready to go. That's why we keep going to Jamaican and Haitian restaurants and they treat us like trash. We come
Right.
for the food. Okay, that's it. I don't come for your smile.
No, buddy.
Right. But when I think about 9/11, I think about everything that like kind of came crashing down afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I also think about this fake ass unity. I'm sorry, I don't know if your son could hear me. I
Nah, you
apologize.
good. I got the headphones on. I got the
Yeah.
headphones on. You can only hear me.
Okay. Uh I I'm skipping topics, but it's okay. This fake facade of racial harmony that
Correct.
was brought on by the,
Even kind of the fake attack on, like, foreign nationals, Muslims, and things like that. Like, I thought that was ridiculous. Like, why are you blacks upset with this group of people?
Hmm.
Like, I want to be real
Yeah.
careful about what I say, but I felt like, there's absolutely no reason why this group.
Hmm.
This, when you two groups get together, you conquer entire planets.
right,
At least the Iberian Peninsula up to Spain, right?
right,
When you get with this group of people, y'all are enslaved. Like, that's always the history. It's always, when you meet with them, it's always genocide. When you get with this group of people, y'all always figure out a way to kind of, push all the way up, and make some things happen.
right.
Yeah.
Timbuktu.
That's
And
right.
the politicians radicalize the Muslims at this point to the furthest extent, to where they at what is the Penn Station, Grand Central Station was shut down because of this. So at Penn Station, you see somebody with a backpack on and they look Indian or anything like that, they getting approached.
Right,
So they've got us on the news. They used to say, if you see anybody that looks like this, that has these bags, be on the lookout. So when I get on the train, I'm like, damn, he got a backpack on. What am I supposed to do? I
You
swear
go
to God,
ahead. You go ahead,
I've
buddy.
spent at least 5 trips and waited for the next train just because they told me to look out. As somebody that's what 20 years old, it's like what? No, I was 18 years old. So 18 years old, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with this place. All I know is that we got bombs in Middle Eastern countries,
right,
and these things don't happen in America. That's what they told me. So
right.
just thinking back, like they fed us with so much bull crap,
Lots of propaganda,
and
and
we
it's all
believe
coming
it.
from
Lots
all
of propaganda.
corners.
And still and
Yes,
still are and still are
and
and
still
still
Right.
are.
are.
A lot of people. Okay, so what? Bill Mars lost his show.
Yes.
I think they pulled like Rachel Maddow off of whatever she was doing, and all of a sudden she kind of became the voice of this kind of centrist response to 9/11.
Right.
And then it flipped, and everything flipped with the New York Times Post, the Judith Miller thing, and weapons of mass destruction, and everything kind of collided. You couldn't talk about anything, and then it was, really, really, literally bombs over Baghdad.
Literally.
Correct.
Yes.
Literally.
And so what I found fascinating about this era was it seemed like the propaganda was like a mass chorus of all of these different perspective leaning media sources online and elsewhere, stating that mostly Saudi Arabian nationals attacked us, but we got to go for Iraq.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Exactly.
I didn't know how else to word it, but
right.
And that was
as
the
Afghanistan is being replaced with a puppet government in Karzai and whatnot. Right.
And you know what was
that?
Oh, go ahead.
I think that was the point that I started looking into politics further, because I swore off the news when I was like 12 or 13 because of racial injustice. I'm not watching the news no more. It's no good news. I don't want to see anything bad. Definitely. So I didn't watch the news. But at that point, when they were trying to tell me that they were going to Iraq for something that somebody else did, I was like, wait. Then I had to really read. And that's why I bought the damn shirt. I was so pissed off at that point, and we were drugged into the facade of unity because of this tragedy. No, we united with hate because they brought the idea that these Muslim people were terrible. So we united in hate, not in good. Right. Not in good, because y'all didn't do good by the people of America, basically.
And we got to remember George. Right. So George Bush had a Freudian slip. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. He stated that this was the Crusades, was like the Crusades. Right. And so if you know anything about the Crusades, it's basically Christianity kicking Islam out of Western society. After Islam had conquered Western society for well over 700 years. That Moorish period that we never learn about in history class, or, skip over in one day. And so the Crusades was a very harsh period. You have to think about whenever there's a mass conversion from one ideology to another, whether it be religion or politics, it's always very bloody. It's always involves some sort of genocide of a certain group of people who think differently than those who are conquering. And so that's, to me, when George Bush said that this is like the Crusades, and he didn't mean to say it. He was off script. It was not planned. That is probably how the higher ups explained 9/11 to him. Is that this is, he doesn't seem like the brightest guy in the world. And so he probably had to have explained to him, like, this is like the Crusades. And so when he went and talked to the press, it was like, yeah, like the Crusades, like we learned in history class. Okay, Lance, it's all good. Good night, Lance. I'm sorry. You're not being permitted to see it now. Man. I'm so sorry about that. That's all good. And so
YouTube's stopping us. They're censoring us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I told you. I looked up the rules because I was like, I know 9/11 is controversial. We're not allowed to say certain things. And so I'm making sure we're not saying those things.
And they got us on 5-second censor.
Right. And so when we look at it like this, this was part of the plan the entire time, in my opinion. This was a part of their plan for a very long time. And so we were friends with Iraq for 30 years and their government. We were friends with Afghanistan and their government for 30 years. We were, cool with a whole lot of people in the Middle East for decades. And so for all of a sudden, one group of nationals attack on our soil, on our financial institution, being the catalyst of what would become the Arab Spring is one of the worst things that probably happened in United States history. We're still in war in the Middle East based off of this.
Right.
19 years later.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We can't say certain things, but we can say certain things.
I'll just say greed is the ugliest thing I've ever witnessed. I've ever. Okay. I could take gluttony, but greed, it's dangerous. It becomes violent, and I'm overwhelmed right now.
I'm overwhelmed as well. And so when I think about Building 7, right? That's really not talked about as well by the media.
Is it the Pentagon?
No, it's not the Pentagon. It's another building that was on that site.
See, I haven't even heard about it.
I can't even talk about it at length like I really want to. But Building 7 also exploded on September 11th. We'll just say that. Under very suspicious, they claim it exploded from ash from the Twin Towers. Building 7. Yeah, okay. No, we're not doing that. Right. We're not doing that tonight.
All right.
But that's the
yeah, we're here to talk about other New York towers coming down.
Right. The Pentagon was attacked as well, and they said that they took down a airplane that was on its way to the White House.
Yeah. I thought the Pentagon attacked. And can I do that? Can I do air quotes?
You can do that.
Oh. Okay. If it went to the White House, I would have been like, oh, okay.
I thought the Pentagon and the White House attacks were interesting. Given the level of destruction that we saw, that we all were supposed to be traumatized by in New York City, I would have expected more, and I just didn't buy I didn't buy any of the official word on that. That's when I started. I had a framing of the event when I did watch it, when I began to tune in, but that frame was altered when they started discussing the White House and the Pentagon, and I just felt like this doesn't make the math that I'm used to using. This isn't the math that I'm used to using.
Okay.
And that's
they make you think you're illiterate.
Right. And so I began to look at things a little bit differently. But I never had a patriotic position ever. Okay. My other take was I probably shouldn't ever say publicly. Okay. But yeah, once I saw that, I said, I don't think those guys did it. I think this is something else.
I think so too.
And the fact that he was briefed way before this even happened, just as we're seeing today, right. They know.
And the relationships, all the relationships that all of these families had with one another, the oil ties, the relationship to Blackwater, like all, even the relationship of Karzai and those in Afghanistan, the opioid. All of a sudden, America's in an opioid crisis,
Right.
and it's just a lot of
Halliburton.
conveniences. Halliburton, it was just so many conveniences. And then all of a sudden, everything kind of just and cut scene to Iraq. And it happened like that, and all of the lies attached to Iraq. It's like if you guys went through all of this trouble to make this happen, why don't I believe that about this? Like we're like you don't have you got the resources for this, but you ain't got the resources for that. BS.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just didn't buy it. I just didn't buy it.
Right. And so like even looking into it now, I was definitely I mean, I think deep down in our hearts, we kind of knew there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I think a lot of people were skeptical about it. And when we looked at the details of everything, and then also, as a Black woman, my perspective of it is, okay, America, you got attacked. This is every day in some other countries. You know what I mean? And it's our fault for a lot of that. That every day.
Before my friend said all buildings matter, she said never forget slavery. Because this is the position of the Black body.
Right.
Like, okay,
Right.
you know, you're going through something, cool. In my mind, I'm thinking, deal with it. Because that's what I do.
Right.
Okay. I ain't going off here in some murderous rampage and destroying everything I see. You know,
Right.
I navigate through it. I maneuver
Right.
through everything
Right.
that I have to deal with on a daily basis. And you're telling me that it's not daily, but I'm telling you don't know
Right.
so don't try to read my book incorrectly.
Right. But I did see a lot of Black folks say, "Massa, we burning."
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really?
If y'all don't know, whoever's watching and doesn't know,
still saying it.
right. Massa We Burning is a reference to Malcolm X speech, and he explained the house Negro, field Negro. The field Negro is happy when something happens to the massa, and the house Negro is like, "Massa, we sick." So that's the reference to that, just in case Gen Z comes on here wondering.
Some Gen Xers that didn't know no better.
Right. You know, I have this place in my heart because my parents were both veterans, and so they did raise me with some sense of American pride. However, my whole existence was like, you know, well, how can I feel for this when, like, this is the normal everyday? I just saw a documentary where child soldiers had no limbs and stuff. Like, you know, and that's because of capitalism. So how can I feel?
Just U.S. domination. I mean, America doesn't get to the level that it gets to without, you know, a lot of imperialism, a lot of invasion of other people's territories, and allowing corporations a bodyguard in these other nation states.
Yeah.
Right.
That just makes me think about what I spoke with my husband about the other day, about how people are taking on Donald Trump as an identity trait.
Right.
For their person, and I've never felt that America was part of my identity. Now, where I'm from, Jersey, New York, you know, East Orange, that's a part of my identity. It just so happens to be in America, you know. But as far as flag,
I'm the same way.
I've never owned any flag, anything, because
I can't say that. Like you know, I served and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I was being real. You know, I did a TikTok a long time ago. You know, I seen some white boys telling they did it in an offhanded way, So I didn't want to do it directly because I knew they was gonna try to gaslight me and try to make me look crazy. So I just, I did it indirectly. But I was being real. A whole lot of us showed up at that MEP center, raised our hand, and said and made a whole lot of promises. But a lot of us needed the money. A lot of us wasn't gonna be able to go to no college without a lot of assistance. A lot of us wasn't gonna get no trades or get out of the neighborhoods that we grew up in without that outlet. You know what I'm saying? The military, United States of America military, kind of always had, I don't want to say disloyal, but those blacks who and poor whites who join for financial reasons. It's almost mercenary arm, and I would think a whole lot of it's probably like that. A lot of America's military involvement is exploitation of other nations, imperialism, and most of us aren't really aren't getting the rewards of that. I don't fault the soldiers for the situation that they find themselves in, but
Nothing. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna wait until you're done.
I'm not. There are certain acts that are you're going to have to show. You may have to be responsible for your own actions. You need to you need to be able to you might want to break your general orders. But I do understand why you chose to put the uniform on. I understand what made you. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get that, and I try to be mindful of the conditions that make people sign up and put that.
I understand. My daughter,
because it's not always ideological.
Yeah, my daughter, she's 17. She wants to go, and I'm supporting her, but I don't want her to go. She was just accepted into her first college like 2 days ago. So hopefully she would go on to school and be done with it. And
especially if they paying for it.
Right.
Well, she hasn't gotten a scholarship yet because she be slipping. But I can afford it myself, which is
go ahead, Mama.
To me,
blind. Yeah, right. But then ball out.
It's cheap. It's pretty cheap. She gonna be close to home, but I don't want her to go to a place to fight for people who would not fight for her in the same exact way. If you're not willing to lose your life for my child, I don't want her to try to lose her life for you. And I'm sorry. I know people go to the military. My uncle has been in it. Two of my uncles have been in the Navy. Another of my cousins is in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Army, in the military, even though he was pronounced dead and then went down south and married somebody else and had 10 more children. And my grandmother thought he was dead. But that's a whole nother story. But I come from a family that is devoted in fighting for this country. But that doesn't mean that I can't say that I don't want my child to do the same thing. I don't want her to.
So my perspective is a lot more, I guess it'll be controversial, but it's okay. I'll write that train by myself if I have to. So Kwame Ture, I remember listening to one of his speeches, Stokely Carmichael. He said that Crispus Attucks was the first Black man to die in the Revolutionary War. And he was a fool because 2 million of his brothers were, still in bondage while he was fighting for the white man's freedom. Also,
Crispus Attucks wasn't really fighting though. Like he was
just a casualty.
He wasn't like he was a minute man. He wasn't, he wasn't.
He have an option.
Yeah, he wasn't suited and booted. It wasn't that kind of, and I respect Kwame Ture, of course. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's a lot of things people say because this is gonna get a rise out of audience, and you kind of get to present this particular position.
Okay.
Malcolm X is extremely well-read man. It would be silly to believe that Malcolm X hasn't heard, and Malcolm X didn't know of the house slaves that did rebel.
Right.
However,
Mhm.
however,
For
Malcolm
the
X wasn't
analogy's
really
sake,
even really talking about that. He was talking about specific people
at that time.
who he named,
Right.
and he was targeting them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I feel the same way with Kwame Ture. You know, he understands. You know, but it was a particular time. The draft was on,
Yeah.
and I think that you know that motivated that particular idea. But I don't want to stop you. I don't want to
Okay.
stop
So, and
you.
then I also come from the school of thought that, you know, we don't have to, you know, fight for the red, white, blue. You know, Muhammad Ali went to jail, so you wouldn't have to. Um, that was a play on Hove's lyrics. I'm
Donald
sorry.
Trump got bone spurs, so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Clinton was a draft dodger.
Oh yeah.
So I don't. Nah, I feel you, but I'm open on all of these. Like it's a lot of nuance when it comes to black people in this conversation.
Definitely.
Even the
Definitely.
topic of 9/11, like it's a lot of, you know, they was dropping bombs like during that time. Prince George's County was under fire. It was a whole lot of police brutality. Cincinnati was on fire at that time. That's when they were dealing with their police brutality case. So it was a number of events occurring at that time. I mean, shit, Amadou Diallo.
Yes.
Oh
It was, you know,
yeah.
it was a lot going on at that
That was
time for
crazy.
black people to be like, "Hey, look, man, this
Right.
might be on y'all." You know, Malcolm X said, "Chicken is coming home to roost,"
Right.
and I think, yeah, I understand that statement. I absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Because I feel like this is very reminiscent of like the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire, once they absorbed a country, they would allow for the young men to be trained to join their army to further expand their empire. And so when I look at it from that lens, I'm like, oh wow, you're being used to perpetuate the destruction of everybody against white supremacy. And so a lot of times I realize and I notice that whenever I used to travel to different countries and the United States Embassy, I would check in just to see what's up. And they would tell me in like these different United States embassies, like, here's where you don't go because we don't negotiate with terrorists and they're all terrorists in that area. Wow. And so, you know, like, for example, when I went to Ecuador, they said the border between Ecuador and Colombia is run by guerrillas. You go there at your own risk if you want to. We told you not to go over there. And really, it's more of they don't listen to white people.
Or they waiting for their money from the CIA,
right? To get their money, yeah, to get that sugar booger,
right?
Exactly.
Ooh,
and so
I want to sell keys so bad.
so you know,
we're joking, YouTube, absolutely.
Right. But I'm saying, like, when they say don't go there, they're meaning it's not safe for your average white American. It's not safe for Susie and Bob to wander in that area. I'm not saying I'm going to go and test it myself, but I'm saying that I know exactly what they're talking about when they say it's not safe over here. Don't do that. When it's not safe over here, don't do that.
And then they say the same thing about our neighborhoods that we walk in every day.
Right.
The same exact
I like in the United States of America too, one of those kind of neighborhoods, you know, you're in a situation where, like, if you live in a neighborhood, it's always like 2 or 3 families. It's not everybody family. It's always 2 or 3 people that's really kicking up some static. It's never everybody.
Yeah.
Right,
but
right.
whatever they kick off, you know, you kind of got to deal with it by virtue of, where you stay at, you live in this particular neighborhood, and
Right.
that's how people, where you from, such and such,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
how being an American, being a U.S. citizen is. The rest of the world may not know my political aspirations or my political ideology, but because of the country that I live in, I'm associated. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all of us are kind
Yeah.
of tied because somebody, in order to exact a particular kind of justice, somebody might want to kidnap me and hold me, as hey, America, we got one of y'all's. Can we get something?
Right.
Or can we get ours back? And they
Right.
may not, they may not understand, they may not understand my story.
Right. Right. But I think like white
I
supremacy
think
is pretty well known.
I think for some people, yeah, but I mean, it's
Like throughout the world.
a power play
It's
is still a
worldwide.
power play, though.
Yeah.
A power play is still a power play. If I'm okay, like Asada Shakur can figure out a way, or can have some help to get into Cuba. It's a whole lot of people somebody had to know in
Everybody.
order for that play to move, especially the way they
They got her.
she
Yeah.
wasn't, she hopping out the prison cell to the boat or whatever.
Right.
Everybody's not going to be able to get that particular play, and everybody didn't. Other people had to go to different parts of Africa. Some
Definitely.
people ended up in Vietnam, some even in China, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which is why I try to be careful about, Black Panthers had a network over in China.
Yeah.
So I don't my I might be able to sell my story. I might be able to get to know some people, and we can make some arrangements. But that's something that would have to that's something that would have to occur. I would
Right.
it like in any other situation. I would have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. I don't think just being Black, because that's dangerous.
Right.
That it is. I wouldn't trust a system where just because somebody Black, y'all giving them asylum. Like that's
Correct.
that's
Of course not.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's a topic that I brought up to somebody who said, "Oh, they're Black and you don't support them." I said, "Then you don't know anything about the Black community, because we
Yeah, at
have
all.
a continuous fight
At all.
about not supporting our own people because we want to hold them accountable for their wrongdoings. You don't know
Right.
nothing about us, so no,
White
I'm not going to
white
support
people
you just
don't
because."
embrace all white people.
Right.
That's why Europe is in
Exactly.
shambles, and why you have Eastern Europe, and why you have Slavs, and
Right.
how the whole Aryan thing came about, and
And the
the Jewish
Appalachian
problem.
Mountains.
Yeah,
Right.
oh God, and yeah, and the class concern, which I support they fight, but yeah,
That should be the only concern. Like I tell anybody I speak to, the only way that we're going to get to a place where we can be on keel with each other is if we band together by class.
Right.
But they have the idea that just because they're not, that they may be better and they should be okay with their condition no matter what,
I would
Right.
like
because
a
they're
movement.
not.
No doubt. I would like a movement at that level, at the abstract level. At my mentality, my framework is that at the local level, it's kind of got to either be something neighborhood or something family. It's got to be local. It's got to be a clique. It's got to be
Yeah.
you and yours versus your wider communities, and you have to make your policy and your whatever type of changes you're trying to make in the community at the and I'll explain why I think this way. But as we move up to the national level, and we're having these broadcasts or whatever, I think the more abstract concerns should be dealt with there, the class issues and whatnot, because my class identity, I'm not going to agree with everybody in my class, and I'm not going to agree with everybody in my neighborhood,
Right.
and I'm not going to disagree
Right.
with everybody on the other side of the train tracks. And I might need to go over to the other side of the train tracks and recruit. And maybe they
Right.
need to come over in my oasis and
Right.
recruit. On the local level, I need it to be flexible. I need some flexibility. I need to be able to, have a political West Side story, if you will. But at the broader level, yeah, we can argue class all day. You know what I'm saying? We can if because that might push something out up up on Capitol Hill that could benefit us all.
Yeah, and we got to look at it like this, like no matter what class Black people are, we all can relate to that glass ceiling on every single level.
Yeah.
And so Kanye West, as much as he complains, he's talking about a glass ceiling ultimately.
Yeah.
And
what's interesting about Kanye is not even just talking about the glass ceiling for Black people, but he's attempting to point out the glass ceiling for even somebody like Kim. And I think people would be pissed off because he's also talking about somebody even like Trump. I think we do have. I think the conversation around class is so skewed and so nuanced that it can be very difficult to have in certain environments because it is more than just money. Money is a big part of it, but class is it's a network. It's got faces and it's got names and it's got they don't like the new rich and it's like that. It's and everybody and just because it's old money don't mean they got all the power. You know what I'm saying? The power the power dynamic is a little probably slightly more widespread than we think it is.
Right. And so with Kanye's concept of classism, his come up is way grander than Kim and the Kardashian clan for sure. She came into money. Her dad is the one probably that had to work the hardest out of everybody to get past that point. I don't think Kanye realizes that when he's talking about class. Because
she puts up a facade that she had to work for it because she used to organize people classes.
It's hard. It's easy to work.
I don't think that. I think it's more about the doors that Kim can get in and the doors that Kim can't get in. The same thing with Trump. I think it's.
No, I'm talking about her base story, like her beginning story. It's like this is where she came from. She made it seem like she struggled. When you hear her speak, it's like, oh, I was organizing.
She grew up in Beverly Hills.
I started styling people. You grew up in Beverly Hills.
Yeah. We might be using struggle loosely.
Right.
Yeah, my idea of struggle probably gonna be a little bit different.
And I would have no problem with a Kim being in the forefront of any movement.
I don't think all classism.
Yeah, if she didn't say that she didn't recognize race until she had children, it's like I want to say so many vulgar things, but I can't say it. Okay.
All that Black man she was taking, and she didn't realize racism until she had a baby. Come on.
Until she had children. It's like, come on now.
And I mean, it's not like Kim them. They're not like Nordic whites. You know what I mean? They're like Eastern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
they're Eastern
Europeans
by blood.
in that
not by culture.
Well, I mean, still in certain. Well, I mean, it's just like with Africans. I mean, in certain corridors, the tribe that you come from it may make or break a deal for you. Like they still got a class system or they still got a caste system. What we would understand as a caste system. Mm-hmm. So they're in the same thing in Europe. You got certain groups that are frowned upon. When they came over here, it kind of the concept of white. What we really mean by white privilege is just white membership. Don't mean you're finna be rich like every other white person. That would be goofy. But it is about we're going to forget the Irish. We're going to forget the Slavs. We're going to forget our beef from Europe so that we can be this one
compete
thing
with the Black people that are here working harder.
Exactly. Yeah. And the Native Americans.
Right.
So she still is a part of a particular cast, even here, there are going to be people who recognize that, and it's going to limit certain doors that she can get in. But yeah, she's gonna, they all right. They ain't, they ain't worried about, mortgage
They ain't worried.
payments or rent. Yeah, they ain't,
Oh,
it's not that kind of classism. It's not this oppressive thing, but there are going to be some doors that she can't get into.
Right.
But is it because she's Middle Eastern, or is it because she had a sex tape?
I think it depends on how one wants to look at that, though. I think it depends on how a person want to look at that, because okay, are we frowning upon it? Are we frowning upon the act, or are we frowning upon the person committing the act? And why are we frowning upon it? Who put the thought in our head that this person can't do this? Because there's a whole lot of people who can and who have, which is my and I don't want to be man explains to woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be I don't want to mansplain or whatever we're calling it. But I do want to kind of be clear on the discussion that women have.
Which Black woman has been able to attain that amount of wealth with those types of career choices?
With that background. Now, let me just say, I actively
that's the issue.
I actually follow somebody who used to do porn, okay? And she did it for like a year, but she made like a crazy amount of tapes, and then she left, okay? And her dad found out about it because one of his friends saw her in the porn. But now she has turned herself into a businesswoman. Yet she has to keep fighting her path in the porn industry. So I understand the bias, when it comes to
every white woman hasn't
like
been able to.
But I swear, I mean, Jenna Jameson is crazy rich. Okay?
I think it's a difference between like that. I think it's a difference between.
I understand they'll have to fight.
There are levels.
They'll have to fight.
Okay.
I think Mimi is the highest paid Black woman I can think of in the industry. Off of just Mimi Faust from Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta, and so
I thought about
Shower Rod.
I thought about it.
It's actually,
and even that's different. And see, these are different things.
It's actually Roxy Reynolds.
But there's a difference between porn and you and your guy had a sex tape that y'all put on the market, leaked. Excuse me. That's not the same thing.
I'm glad those you are put different. The quote unquote.
These are different. But I mean, the whole thing is a charade. The whole thing is come on, man. And this is my concern. Like we're acting like these are like, I mean,
I definitely think Mimi put in a lot more work in her tape than Kim did.
So why
isn't
Ray J worth as much as she's worth?
That's Ray J. That's on Ray J. That's on Ray J.
He's a hustler.
It's on Ray J. Ray J not being worth as much as, so it's a lot of other things involved, but let's be realistic. Has Ray J not had a lot of opportunities to capitalize on a lot of things before he ever met Kim?
I feel like
this is why I have a problem with the and if we want to lambast Kim, let's please by all means, we can have the F Kim. If we want to do that, I'm with y'all. I'll go get the hat and I'll go make a shirt and I'll put the poster up and
talking about the fact that she appropriates Black culture at every
if we want to say that, then let's say that. But if we're going to have this privileged conversation, then I'm going to need a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Especially if we're talking about Ray J. If we're talking about Ray J's had a lot of opportunities in this, and
but Ray J
has rolled the coattail of a lot of people in his life. I'm just being nice. He's met a lot of different people in his life. He not only met, but was born, in lucky bastard.
I mean, he has the show, but let's talk about before Kim got the show. she automatically became the focal point of that tape. It's like it wasn't. It was the fact that she was
Why
with
not?
Brandy's brother, but she became the
So
focal
so
point of
what
that
does so
tape.
what does so
So
She had lackluster performance, by the way.
I mean,
Um,
definitely. I mean, come on.
so
She. I
I
think she saw the.
okay,
mean,
I
okay,
think she
okay.
saw the
I'm
super.
actually get out
I
of
think
off
she saw
stage
the
for a married
Superhead
man and a
video
half.
I
I'm
for the two
apologize.
actually
part.
I apologize. I apologize. But I'm saying it wasn't like she did anything spectacular.
She didn't.
There it wasn't like, you know, it was some
I
regular.
just want to be real careful about. I got to be
She
real
didn't
careful.
bite no lip or nothing.
I have to be
Okay,
careful. I
but
have to
come
be
on,
careful in this
come on.
particular space. Um, yeah,
And
yeah. Let me be careful. Let me be careful.
okay, all right. So we're gonna move on to the next topic. On a more serious
Kirby
note,
Impact. You two abstruse 1 through 13.
no, I didn't do anything wrong. I just said it was lackluster. I was just pointing out how you could be mediocre when you're one way, when you're a certain skin tone, and you can't as
It's a
another
lot.
skin
It's a lot
tone.
of. Okay. But if we're
That's what I was pointing out.
like the same way I feel about the Patriot thing, and I feel like there are these tiers, and I'm just saying that I feel like there are some things that Kim wasn't always I'm gonna say the way that Kim is framed, the way that Kim is sold to us. It's a whole lot of lackluster people out there in general, and I'm not judging anybody's
Oh,
performance. Uh,
most definitely. Yeah.
um, but I am saying that it's a whole lot of lackluster people out there that have been able to amass. You got
Oh, yeah. I don't have any
the
problem
whole
pointing
thing
them
with
out.
oh my God.
Yeah, there's so many whack people. Taylor
Yeah, I
Swift,
mean,
Donald Trump.
especially in this era,
Um,
especially like after 2000s, man. Like
yeah,
it's
so
hard to
many people.
name the solid performances. It's so much
They don't need to
mediocrity that passed
do
as
right.
hip
Right.
and worthy. People, in this, and I don't want to do the generational thing. Like I support
No,
the
we can do
young, I
generational
rock
Definitely.
with the
things.
youth,
Right.
but
Right.
there have
Generational.
been a number of audiences and groups of people who allow certain talents to become really phenomenal people in this world, but the person didn't really have phenomenal talent, especially if we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about music and entertainment. It's a
Okay.
whole lot of people, man. Oh, you got lucky. You got
Right.
lucky,
Yeah.
man. You
Yes.
got lucky.
Right.
I
These
mean,
people
if
didn't have they was looking for somebody to root for. They needed
Right.
a
yeah,
champion, and here you can
yeah,
you came with your resume and your hand on the right day.
Right.
if
You're right
Barbara
about
Walters
that.
can tell the Kardashians, if Barbara Walters can say the Kardashians has no talent, I have no problem saying it either. They have no talent. Okay, so many people have no talent, but the ratio from when the people in my generation had no talent versus now, it's escalated. These people are mediocre at best.
And I'm also more interested in kind of the conversation about why the Kardashians are framed in the way that they framed, as opposed to I guess like the Taylor Swifts of the world. Let me put it like that.
Hmm.
Because we
Um,
only see superficial with the Kardashians. Taylor Swift, she's writing about her breakups and everything, everything. We see a little bit of talent. She can't.
Taylor Swift talk about the same thing, man. She just
She's talking about
it's
the
basically
same
saying
thing what she doing though.
she been talking about the same thing, but we just ain't get a tape. That's all.
Mm.
I'm talking about the Kardashians in full on the show, everything. Every
Is
year
it
they
is
become richer because they live a certain lifestyle that's interesting to people that want to live that lifestyle. That's why people buy into the American dream. That's why
no
people
doubt.
don't fight
I
the rich
absolutely
because
agree
they
with
think
that.
that one day they're gonna be rich, so they don't want to
And
go against policies that can harm
it's a
them
lot of
when they
it's
get
a
there.
lot of brothers who have sold the same image, and
Of
that's the only
course,
reason
I
I
mean we
know the
got
lyrics to your song.
yeah we got Rick
Um,
Ross, we got so many different people. I have no problem pointing them
Rick Ross
out.
can flow.
It is
Rick Ross.
Rick Ross
No,
we
he
get,
can
we get.
flow, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about
But you're
the
right. His
image in which
content
he
is purely
portrays.
based upon
It's
Materialism.
based upon a
yeah,
certain
the
image. Yeah,
Scarface imagery that really
I
kind of got
I
Jay-Z on
love
after Reasonable Doubt.
right. I love Rick Ross. Let me not perpetrate. Okay, Maybach Music mixtapes. I love a Rick Ross,
Yes,
but
boy.
his story and everything is not lining up. That's the
It's
part.
not.
You know,
It's not.
I
It's not.
yeah. I'm like everything is an art, which is why I link rap music to movies because if we can portray somebody as a gangster in a movie, then we should be able to portray somebody as a gangster on record. But that's another topic. But yeah. Anyway, we can.
And like I said, I want to be careful because I don't want it to be our subject. Yeah, I don't want the whole conversation to be about our subjective analysis of talent or
Yeah, well,
lackluster performance. But I do feel like that
I
even
was
with
I
white
was pointing
people,
out that
there
Mimi was
is
on
this
a
hierarchy
shower
amongst them
rod.
as well.
Our best was on a shower rod, putting in a lot of work, and then their best is like very lackluster compared. I was just trying to make that
Is
compare.
that their best though?
Well, this is
Isn't
their
Listen,
that their
highest
best?
grossing. This is their highest
listen.
grossing,
Their
right? Is she
best
not
I
the
don't want
highest
to go off
grossing?
highest. I don't want to go off highest
their
grossing because we
their best
might be
is not
leaving
far
somebody out.
removed.
You know,
Well, I wouldn't say that's their best. I'm saying
the Kardashians have been really they took advantage of something and they've really been able to do it. I don't think Mona complaining. I don't think Mona Scott complaining. I don't think Mona Scott going to bed
No,
hungry.
she ain't.
I don't
She
think
ain't.
Mona Scott. I think Mona Scott tickets looking really decent, and
Yeah,
she
she
done
got her
made some
best.
people. I don't think Cardi B hungry
No.
right, right.
because she a part of that too. And
I have no problem
I
with
just don't want to be. I just don't want to be man explains to women. That's just. I just
I
want to be real
know, I
careful.
know. I
Wanna be real
think
careful.
what we're more saying is the standard is much
Standard is
higher for
different.
sisters to
Right.
make it in that type of way. And
Correct. Look at
ultimately a black
Fishburne
man
daughter.
stood up for Kim, and nobody's allowed to call her a hoe anymore. But they got lots of hoes in their music.
I mean,
They got a lot of biatches and hoes in their music, but Kim's not allowed to be called one anymore because she's married to Kanye.
Is this
That's what he
okay? Who's
said?
making that statement?
Who's making that statement?
Yeah.
Kanye said that.
Kanye said that.
Oh,
He
well,
tried
that's
to
that
tell a
man's
whole lot of
wife.
people.
Oh man, that don't count. You can't. That's that man's wife,
I
man. That's the
mean,
mother of that dude. Child, what he supposed to say? What he
You know
supposed to
what?
say? Yeah, call my
You know
wife.
what?
What is he
You know
I feel
supposed
what?
to
like
say?
You know what?
Kanye.
We
I
done.
feel like
What is he supposed
Kanye
to say?
straddled the fence.
What is he supposed to say?
With Kim?
That's
I
his
feel
wife.
like
That's the mother of his children. What is he supposed to say?
Kanye used Kim in such a terrible way. So first of all, Kim said that she would never post nude again after her Playboy centerfold situation.
What was that paper
Then,
one?
huh?
The paper magazine. That one was nude as you can get.
No, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay. Oh, my
Playboy
bad.
happened way back in the beginning, like first 2 seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Right.
But when she gets with Kanye, now he thinks that it's okay for her to pose nude. So she does. Okay, she's in the Bound 2 video. She's on the paper magazine. She's on all this stuff because he told her that it was okay for her to do it. So she's going against herself for doing it. Then he's now hyper religious, pseudo religious. Let me say that. And now he don't want her to wear certain stuff. What? I'm so sick of
Hey, if y'all
him
just threw
and
"that's
her.
his wife" in my face a couple seconds ago, we're gonna go with "that's his wife."
That's his wife. I can't, like if it was somebody else, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. But I can't, like anybody other than Kanye. Like
Fine. We'll let you guys have that one.
I have no problem with
we're gonna take it, man.
with
We don't get no easy wins over here, so I'll take it.
But okay, so on the record,
Let's go.
all right, so the way that I have it outlined, the Russell Simmons era of Def Jam. Okay, so he wasn't in control of Def Jam after Steve Bartels left,
Was
from
he
what I
ever
understand.
technically in control? Like how much
In the beginning, he
of a
was.
split did him and Ruben have?
I'm not, you know what? They've always
I
had
think they
these
were equal
parent
partners.
companies above Def Jam, right? So Polygram,
Yes.
CBS Records first stepped in to give them a distribution deal. And then Polygram Records came in and purchased Sony purchased a 50% stake from that point. So previously, they first had just a distribution deal with CBS Records, and then when Polygram came in, Sony bought out 50% stake.
And it was never 100% Russell Simmons. Never.
It was both of theirs.
So
both is not 100% though.
They were partners.
You partners, but if in the case of the needing of splitting of finances, this ain't 100% yours, homie. This this y'all's.
But
it's like
he
a marriage.
had to be
It's
the
a marriage.
Face. But Russell Simmons had to be the face of a hip hop.
He was the face. He was the face, and Rick had to be the face in a way too.
Right.
Both of them had to be face to the size that they needed to be the face.
He had to get the white kids involved.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Def Jam continued to grow, and they had subsidiaries such as Island Def Jam Music, which had several acts. That's when Leor Cohen, Dame Dash had quite a few words for him. And Kevin Lyles were running it. And they had on Island Def Jam Music, they had Drew Hill, Cisco, Isley Brothers, Kelly Price, Music Soul Child, Montel Jordan, Case, 112, Patti LaBelle, Christina Milian. That's like a lot of chart-topping hits at that time.
They had the 90s.
Right.
So good. So good.
Not all the 90s, but a nice chunk.
Right.
They had a nice piece of that Monopoly board.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a whole lot of and then they ended up acquiring Kanye West as a lifetime producer in the early 2000s under
Jay-Z, right?
Yes, under Jay-Z. And so you have from 1988 to 98, Leo Cohen was the president. And then from 1998 to 2004, Kevin Lyles was the president of Def Jam Records. And then from 2005 to 2007, Jay-Z was the president of Def Jam Records. Then you had L.A. Reid come in 2007 to 2012, and Joy Manda, Steve Bartels, and most recently, Paul Rosenberg. Right. And so their roster, you know, top of the line. They had LL Cool J. They had Nas at one point. You know, they had Q-Tip. They had Rihanna. They had a whole Jules Santana. I mean, the list goes on and on. They had DMX, Fabulous, Big Sean. They had just so many artists. Back then and to this day, they have Logic now. They have 2 Chainz now. They got Pusha T.
It's the legendary Def Jam. You know,
right.
It's you know a staple in my understanding of hip hop. At least when I was a child, it's Def Jam. You know?
Right.
You see that logo and certain expectations. I got the Crush Groove post up right here.
What's up?
So it's Def Jam.
Right.
They are they are legend.
Right.
I'm about to do my 6-step.
But yeah,
so
bad.
Yeah, definitely. Def Jam is a staple, and then Russell Simmons was the hustler, right? He was the face of Def Jam in a lot of ways, even to the point where I want to Russell like hustle, and I got the muscle and a tussle. You got so many lyrics and shout outs to Russell Simmons. And he was the self-appointed Negro guru, vegan, enlightened,
Sure.
skinny broads, and supermodels,
Tall,
and
skinny, tall, skinny, tall,
right,
skinny. He's got a
tall,
type.
skinny,
He's got a type.
right,
Regardless of how we got to word it, he does have a type.
Yeah.
right. He has a type, and so they made. I made a note that Leo Cohen was in charge of operations, day-to-day operations, and so he told originally, Drew Dixon, we're going to get to her in a second, that, I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. You're one of his tall, skinny bitches. And so, for the president of the company to talk to an upcoming A&R in that respect, definitely unprofessional. I don't know if he would have talked to a white woman like that.
Is there any does he quote it? Is he other than Drew? Is anybody has he stated anywhere that he made that statement, or that he may have made statements similar?
Allegedly.
Well, I want to be careful. Like I don't have a problem with. To me, it's not a question of credibility. With that, I just want to be real careful about making something that somebody said and we don't have.
I was gonna say alleged.
Yeah. And I would just say that she said that. Yeah,
she said that
he said that. Yeah.
She said that he said that.
Because he hasn't denied it.
From my understanding, he is not.
From our understanding.
He has not denied that. And so I don't know if you guys ever seen any of his interviews and are familiar with his personality type. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. I was gonna say something.
Exaggerated pseudo superiority.
Right.
And my like here's my thing, like because I want to make sure we cover as much ground as we possibly can. So let me put the caveats out there. I'm not really even tripping off if it like I'm not trying to hold court. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is I think that women should be heard in these particular instances.
Right.
Like when I saw at the beginning, there's a clip with the young woman who had the situation with Mike Tyson.
Right.
And I remember, you know what I'm saying? I was young, extremely young, but still it was like, you know what, man, I never even knew that was a black woman, because I had blanked it in my mind.
As a white
I blanked, huh?
Did you paint her as a white woman, or was she anonymous?
I immediately painted her as a white woman.
Okay.
Immediately had painted her as a white woman.
Right.
And I had blacked it out and immediately said, why would Tyson need to rape a woman? That was my mindset. And seeing her, and I immediately said, damn, I had to kind of go over Mike Tyson did time for rape. And I thought about Pac, and I thought about Mystical, and all these guys who got convictions for, now there are a lot of different stories, surrounding each of these cases. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to conflate everybody's storyline.
Right.
But I do, as somebody who fancies themselves as kind of thorough and all of that kind of stuff, I want to give these sisters they hear, and I'm more concerned about that than, because I feel like Russell Simmons is a really powerful dude, man.
Right.
I saw the interview he did with the Breakfast Crew, and Like, and I have absolutely no doubt that they think he did this. I have absolutely no doubt that they think he's guilty.
Right.
But the way that they handled it was like, dog, man, did he tell y'all was gonna get fired? Did he tell y'all that y'all, like the way that they handled it was so like, and I've seen them go in on people.
Right.
And so I was like, dog, man, this dude
They handled him with kid gloves.
This is rape. This is a conversation about rape that y'all
Right.
having. This ain't,
Right.
this ain't an argument about, if you beating up on Lil Wayne or something like that, you know what I'm saying, where you kind of took it to an interesting level. This is a conversation about women accusing this man of rape, you know what I'm saying? And he's kind of joking about being able to be arrested.
Right.
Like as if that's it. Really, his attitude was kind of, he's trying to hide behind this Zen Buddhist demeanor, but really it's a power play.
Right.
It's him really like, I wish you would.
Right.
That's really what he's saying.
Right.
And the way he's talking about Oprah, it's like, I wish. You know what kind of pictures I got on Oprah is really what I heard. I didn't hear like the same thing with Oprah and Weinstein, Oprah and Trump. Oprah's had all of these relationships with all these extremely powerful dudes. It's like
Epstein. She's got connections to Epstein.
Like you're two in everybody's pocket, Oprah, and that's why I had a problem with the Michael Jackson thing. And like I just felt like, man, that was kind of cowardly, man. Like if you was gonna do it while the dude was alive, man.
While he was alive, exactly.
Like I believe in let the dead bury their own, man. Like whatever's whatever, but let the dead bury their own. We move, we kind of want to handle that with.
Right.
Yeah, we kind of want to. Even the comments that when they did the interview with Leslie and about Kobe Bryant, I felt the same way. Then like, dog, why would you wait till dude dead? Like that's like, dog, come on, man. Let the dead bury their own, man.
I think because the documentary was coming out on the heels of that Kobe interview, that's kind of what diluted the message and the impact of On the Record. I think the timing of it being announced was right on the heels of Gayle being completely out of pocket, in my opinion, and Lisa Leslie handling it like a champ, as best as she could. And you had one Black woman trying to exploit a man's death and then another Black woman defending his honor. And so that was very interesting. And then to come from that, and then Oprah is coming out with another documentary putting down another Black man. That's what put Oprah being attached and being Gayle's best friend. That definitely did not do justice to
I don't think that's why she pulled her name off of it, though. I think Russ got a whole card. I think he got something on. I think all of them got something on each other. I think the reason why Trump was able to make the move that he was able to make, like I saw the toast that Trump and Hillary gave at I can't think of whatever the it was a dinner club. It was a dinner. Yeah, whatever the private club, and he got up there and he basically, hey, my father gave you money, he gave you money, right? And I need some help. It's basically what he got up there and did. All of these people, and this is what I mean by class. Like these people are in the network, you know what I'm saying? And it is like, it is the old boys club or whatever. Right. And it is a lot of, hey man, remember when my daddy did? You might not like me, man, but my daddy really looked out for you, man. I still got them pictures about, you and that lady that wasn't your wife. And I do feel like there's something like Oprah got secrets.
Tons.
All these people that right? You ain't got you don't think nobody got no secrets? You got some secrets. You got some of their secrets. They got some of yours.
Right.
And so I think, I think, like, I don't know. These are my alleged beliefs, but my hypothesis. I think Russell Simmons pulled a picture out of the closet. And he shot something to Oprah that made us say, oh, okay, you're right, my fault. You're right. It is contradictions in the story that's gone through 3, whatever I think about the New York Times and all these other papers, whatever I think about them, I do believe that,
they're thorough. They are
they're
thorough.
they're going to take a bullet for Judith Miller. They ain't taking no bullet for no Drew Dixon. For what? She ain't, and I hate to say it like this, but in that world, she is a has-been. I hate to use that language, but in that world, she is no longer this extremely impactful person, and not to the degree that Russell Simmons, Oprah can completely, you finna get some static. And I understand that, the New York Times is the New York Times, but Oprah might not own all of her own name, but she can still put up a fight, and Russell Simmons definitely can still put up a fight all the way. And where is he at? Bali?
But he's in Bali, free of U.S. extradition laws.
Which I thought was interesting. He says that he's been back and forth to L.A. Yeah, all right, nigga. Oh, excuse my language. But I do find that choice very interesting, and I found it interesting that that the Breakfast Club didn't, I just felt like
call
they
him
didn't
out on that
forward.
nonsense. Yeah, he ran. You ran.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he ran to a place where there's no United States jurisdiction laws. So yeah, he ran.
He's protected.
Yeah, and he sold all his assets and came over there. Went over there.
And regardless of whatever, man, it does make you look. It's just suspicious. It's just suspicious. Yeah. It's a very suspicious act.
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that he is guilty of what people are alleging that he did. In my personal opinion, there are so many people that we have seen to be normal, dorky, geeky, quiet guys who are sexual predators.
Yeah, don't none of that mean nothing to me. Right. I know a whole lot of dudes.
But
I've been around a lot of dudes.
Yeah, they like to say like, oh, he's low key, that doesn't mean
none of that matter. None of that matter. That ain't got nothing to do with that ain't got nothing. The same way I feel about this. It's 2 defenses that have come up. One that Simmons himself presents, and the other that other people or not saying directly, but are pointing to. What happened to a number of brothers in our history, you know what I'm saying? And typically at the hands of white women. And that's not to say that black women haven't lied on black men in the case of sexual assault. That doesn't make every case that, though. Those are those cases, and I'm willing to take them individually. I'm willing to deal with them at an individual level. This case is this case, and he got several of these cases.
Right.
So it's not just one person, and I'm willing to take each one of them separately. Now I'm going to look at all these women. I'm going to say, wow, they all look alike. They all got some similar features. All of them.
Right.
All of them.
Right.
They all look similar.
Even the rapper sister, she was a black woman.
Right.
I was like, oh, because the younger pictures of Drew, she didn't look like black at all, but when they recorded her, older, I can see it, but I was like, wow. And then I seen the other women, and I'm like, oh, okay. The tall Leor said what he said. Don't bring your tall, skinny ass. I don't have time for Russell's BS. Yeah. Because he's seen the revolving door. It's disgusting.
It's it's unprofessional at best and deviant at worst. So the way that
my concern is that that people are attempting to protect him because of his wealth. Definitely. And because of this perceived value that he brings to
hip hop.
Well, not even just to hip hop, but to the black project. You know what I'm saying? This thing that we're trying to do as the descendants of slaves, as people who are inheritors of this justice plea. You know what I'm saying? This cry from ancestors for us to to kind of come back and get what's owed.
Right.
Somehow Russell Simmons is a reflection of that legacy, and
Right.
somehow we're supposed to come around and protect him because of what happened to Emmett Till and the Scottsboro brothers and yada 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 yada.
Mhm.
And I have a problem with that because a lot of black women got raped too.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And the conversation is on both sides. And
Right.
I do feel like we're in a Piccadilly here because we're not really able to have our own courts. We're not able to
Right.
really weigh everything out, you know what I'm saying, in a way that would make, to give everybody a fair hearing. And it's
Definitely.
Russell Simmons. Like,
Right.
is
But
that even possible?
I think
Well,
people are defending the person that he showed us he is, not the person that he is behind closed doors. Jekyll and Hyde is not just a
Of course,
story;
of
right.
it's a
course, of
reality
course.
for millions of people in the country. We see a lot, but we don't know anything really. Based off what
I
we're
don't even
seeing.
really think we see a lot. I think we see what we think we
We
see.
want
We
to
see
see.
Oh,
especially with
right.
somebody like
Yes.
Russell Simmons, like
Right.
Mhm.
everything
Mhm.
about him has been, doctored, and the tape was edited a couple of times before it went out to the masses. Even if
Yeah.
it got live on it, trust and believe that somebody saw that footage before,
Mhm.
It went
it
out.
was delayed,
Right.
Right.
um and then there is this thing that Russell is saying himself, this idea that I'm a womanizer, that I went with all these actresses and models, and I've had, he really kind of belittled Charlemagne and I
Envy.
DJ
can't think of his
Envy.
Envy, thank you, and DJ Envy by
Yeah.
saying, I've had more foursomes than the average. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing, dog.
Right.
Just because you can,
Yeah.
it's people. One thing we know about power is, and I want to be careful here. Like, I'm not condemning the man. I'm just saying that some things that he said, the logic is a little bit off.
There you go.
Just because you can do this, don't mean you didn't do this here.
That's
One
right.
thing I know about power is it's an addictive thing, and you
Right.
you become entitled. So
Right.
the women who won't say, the women saying no to you, they're probably a little bit more attractive. That might
Right.
have led to something. You know what I'm saying? You just felt like, hey, I can do this because I do have sex with all these actresses. I am, in my mind, this irresistible, man of leisure, man about the world. I'm Russell Simmons. I am the godfather of rap. You know what I'm saying? They did a whole movie about me. Of
Right.
course you feel entitled. You know what I'm saying? You're an extremely powerful dude. And when a person say no to you, I bet you they feel a certain way.
Definitely.
Mhm.
And I'm not accusing them of nothing. I'm just saying that to bring up to make it like
Light
I,
because
I could get I could get any woman I want. Why would I rape anybody? I have to question that. I have to question that
that
logic. I just have
logic,
to question that logic.
definitely. Definitely. I I want to be very careful because I feel like sexual assault victims are in general like put down and
Yes.
society doesn't listen to them, black, white,
Correct.
Asian, but particularly black women.
Mhm.
And then when the perpetrators, the alleged perpetrators are black men, then black women have to take one for the team, right?
Mhm.
Because we have sons, nephews, cousins, people that are really important to us who aren't predators, that we want to protect their image. But if we expose someone that has victimized one of our own, then we risk putting the lives of a lot of innocent black men who are decent, good, great people in our communities at risk of being viewed as animals, as savages, when that's the perception already. And so exposing someone could possibly bring danger to someone who didn't deserve you know any of that treatment.
All right,
Yeah,
right,
and this
right.
is the
Absolutely.
problem of society and the judicial system because we don't convict people the way that we should when it comes to sexual sexual abuse, child abuse.
Right.
Those two things, people are not convicted enough for those two things and that length in which they should be convicted. Those are the people that should be doing life, okay? Because they
and
are
and
predators,
and
because
and
they
there
hide
and
behind a curtain and they do their things behind closed doors and people don't see it enough. And then you have the people who speak up for their character, like, oh, I know him. He's not. You don't know shit. You don't know
I think like
nothing
I
about
think
this
I
person.
think the system itself is flawed in on both sides. I think it's flawed in how it handles cases, how it handles especially high profile cases on both sides. We
And the
you know I
social system, community,
like
neighborhood,
I look
family.
at I yeah right. I actually look at the flaw in convicting brothers for rape wrongfully as the reason why it's so you got so many other cases where women actually were raped and the
Hmm.
perpetrator got away
Right.
Right.
because of how often you're doing it wrong, your
Hmm.
wrongful convictions based on a lot of other stuff. If the
Right.
system wasn't so racist, we wouldn't even have this conversation. We
Right.
would just say, hey, you've been accused of this as a rich man, and now and we probably and we need to deal with that at that level other and instead of bringing up the history of black men and this system because
Right.
that is
Hmm.
clouding the conversation.
That is clouding the
That is
conversation.
most
And but
definitely.
the main thing that concerns me is it almost feels like some black men don't care if it's true or not. They
Hmm.
just don't want you to, or whoever to say anything about it. You know,
Anything?
I feel like they
well,
bought into the idea that people with
Well,
money
I
and
don't.
power don't have to do these things.
they're saying like Russell Simmons in particular is too big to fail. So when you look at that, that means if someone is deemed too big to fail, we got to bail them out,
Hmm.
Right,
right?
right. We have to
Um,
protect them.
yeah, we have to make sure they don't fail because then our whole system fails. That whole idea of black excellence, that whole idea of black
My
millionaires
thing,
and
my thing
moguls.
is if but what if he did do it, and
I
then
agree.
he should be held accountable for whatever he's done to this idea. And it wasn't, you probably shouldn't have the damn idea. It's really myopic and childish to view just because somebody's got money as
I agree.
pristine. That's
I agree.
goofy.
I
But
agree.
but if someone of this stature, of this class, has made this type of decision, then they should be held accountable and they should be punished for that. Not because and they should be held accountable because you did do this. Not you shouldn't punish you shouldn't be punishing you shouldn't be punishing the survivors
Right.
because of it. Because that's what you're doing. You're punishing the survivors instead of punishing the person who actually tarnished it. The
Right.
survivors didn't tarnish it.
Right.
They're not the reason why black excellence has this black eye. It's had a black eye for a lot longer than Russell Simmons too, but
Definitely.
Russell Simmons has helped give it another black eye. Not Drew Dixon them. Like whatever happened. And I do feel like Russell Simmons is saying too much, man. Like it's the
Right.
same
Yeah.
thing with Bill Cosby, man. Like that deposition was damn. Oh God, and
Right.
Nate Parker, that deposition was
Oh,
damning, dog. Like
yeah.
like like I get it. You know y'all got off and all of that. Y'all had that expunged and y'all but dog, what y'all did do, that was ugly, homie. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? However people feel like that, if they want to deal with you, dog, that it was ugly, man. I get why they brought it up, but then that Turner movie was ugly too. You didn't do a good job. So
No.
maybe they were all right. Maybe we were all right.
Right.
The problem that I have with Russell Simmons is saying some things. What he is admitting to me is like, dog, you're
You're
what yeah, you're admitting that you got everybody's drunk. Everybody's drunk, everybody's high, and a woman might have been paranoid that you locked the door and made decisions. And it's like, dog, that's some creepy shit
That's
to
creepy.
be,
It
Yeah.
if
is.
if this is what's happening, and you're talking about this is happening regularly,
Right.
dog, that's sexual assault. Dog.
Yes.
And that's one of
It's not. It doesn't have to be this brutal beating, to make it a rape, man. There's a lack of consent here.
Right.
There's a lack of consent here, and there is you are saying in hindsight that maybe she I can see how she would have been scared. That alone, man, that's a very dangerous statement to me.
Right. And then, I got to look at it. The women do claim that it was a violent struggle with each one.
He said he wrestled him. They said that
they said he did a specific move with the wrist above the head. And so
allegedly,
that's what they claimed. And so Sherry Cher claimed that it was forceful, and she had to wrestle. Salai said she couldn't, she had to give in. Ginny Lumet, same thing. The only one that did say that she fought to get away was the white supermodel, Carrie Klaus Caligli. I don't know if I said it right. And she said she had to punch him in the eye and scratch and get away, and he didn't chase her. And so this is not, just in case people are watching, this was not in particular, this was not just misunderstandings from their standpoint, what they allege. This was forceful from what they allege, and this was calculated on his end from what they allege.
From what they're saying, right.
And so I found it really interesting the first time I watched. I was like, is that Kimberly Crenshaw? And I was surprised. I don't know. I don't know why I was surprised, but she was speaking briefly on the term she coined, intersectionality. Are you familiar with that term, Curvy Impact?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And so intersectionality has to do with intersections, right? Levels of oppression, and from her theory of
her legal document, there was a case where there was a I want to say it was like a warehouse or something industrial where black men were working on the floor, white women were working in offices. Black women had a case to make because they weren't being hired. Kimberly Crenshaw had to invoke the idea of intersectionality, that these black women were being discriminated against in their own particular genre, where black men had blocked off the box of black and white women had blocked off the box of women. So they needed their own box,
category,
black women.
Right.
And in order for them to proceed with the case.
Right.
And that's what that's from.
Yes. And so I've always said, I have white feminist friends, and I've always told them that you cannot talk to me from your standpoint, because our histories are different. Our social standings are different. So, whenever I hear some white woman tell me about how, something was sexually liberating, I'm seeing it as, oh, wow. That could be used against us to harm us.
I think Ariel Levy brings up the same kind of issue that the same argument that you brought up with me. You was discussing WAP.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still hold my same position, but I absolutely see the case. You know, in her book, Female Chauvinist Pigs, she discusses, you know, she actually goes back to the early 2000s discussing girls gone wild and
Right.
like lesbian scenes, you know what I'm saying, and pornography. And she makes a similar case as to what you're making, that there has been a reversal on the idea of empowerment. Now I still hold to my same ideas, because I feel like a lot of this, and the same thought that I have about Kim Kardashian. I do feel like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion have been tossed into this box, where it's them versus like the Rhapsodies of the world, and I feel like Meg and Cardi B didn't put themselves in that box. I feel like we put them in that box. We said y'all wasn't no good rappers. We kind of belittled y'all, and then we tried to hold Rhapsody to a tier that, you know, we wasn't gonna pay Rhapsody to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my take on that.
Okay.
But the argument, I absolutely, you know, yeah, you're right. You're right. I do feel like there are some areas where postures that men want women to hold have been adopted by women, the same way that postures that white people want black people to hold, we've adopted them, and we're kind of doing their job for them. So I can see that.
Right.
I just think that there are some specific instances where there are some other nuances I want to make sure we get on the table before we just, you know, put the gavel down.
Okay. There are nuances that I want to, for example, this one lady, I cannot remember her name. She's a rapper from Miami. She was in that panel with all those women talking about WAP, including Cardi and a bunch of other female rappers that consider themselves to be hoes in this house. And so one of them, she made a post recently and she said, well, in the video, she said she liberated a lot of hoes, right? And so when she made this recent post on social media, it said that don't get it twisted. All this hoe shit I talk about, I do with my husband.
Oh,
and so for me, these women who aren't necessarily doing these things that they are portraying in their entertainment, giving a platform to encourage other people to do that, but like in real life, they probably
Can I ask
don't.
a question?
Okay.
How did you feel about that twerk contest that Cardi B and City Girls did? Like they had, like Cardi B and City Girls
it's the stripper world.
They invited a whole lot of strippers to have a twerk off, and
Right.
they gave them
it wasn't necessarily strippers.
video, and they gave them money.
Yeah, because the girl that won, she wasn't a stripper. I attributed it to be equivalent to what we see for the contest for Dancehall Queen.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It's an art.
They
It's
doing
an art.
everything. They doing everything. They whining. They on their head. They waving it. Doing everything I wish I could do, but that's what I seen it as.
Okay.
When it came when they were doing the contest, so I didn't really bat it. I grew up. I'm from Jersey. I spent 7 years of my life in South Florida. Okay, in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So I grew up with Jersey club music, Baltimore club, Chicago club, and bass music. Luke, True Life Crew, Uncle Al, Trick Daddy. This is what I grew up seeing. And people, just like in parts of Africa, we are trained up to dance in a certain way.
Definitely.
It's regional for sure. So
yeah,
me, I don't see any problems with those type of things when it comes to, you know, dancing. Everything is cultural, in my opinion.
I agree with that. We're gonna say there's situations in which I think it's counterproductive. Like at the
I'm
at the
glad we had
BLM
that conversation.
protest, I thought the ladies busting it down at the BLM contest, I thought that was counterproductive.
We don't need that.
Wait,
Okay,
wait,
we're
what
here for a
happened?
reason.
She was busting it
People
open
at the protest.
Okay,
at the
okay. So
protest.
what about the women who got naked? Like this is a protest tactic. This is a global protest
Yeah,
tactic.
it's true.
I think it started in Nigeria. There, women appeared naked
Mhm.
as a form of protest in South, and I think it was San Francisco or Oakland, right after the murder of either Freddie Gray or Mike Brown. It was some sisters in Oakland or San Francisco that got naked in the middle of the street, and this
Right.
was their form of protest. Um, I do think that's a lot different than like there was a white girl who got naked in front of the police. I want to be real careful about the white people in the Black Lives Matter protest. Like I have
Right.
a lot of thoughts about that. I think like let's just push Black Lives Matter. Let's just occupy Wall Street and let's just go to y'all party and let y'all do y'all thing there.
Right.
I haven't heard about this that y'all talking about.
You've never seen the
Oh, you
lady
never seen a
that
contest?
she was
The
she
black and a Black Lives Matter.
yes,
Oh,
she did the
I haven't. No,
splits.
no, I
She
haven't
did
seen this.
it was a sister. She was clearly like, a
saying she
dancer
could
of
do
some
anything
sort.
at a
But
protest.
She was a
BLM,
professional, is what we're saying. This is
she was
these.
Man, we could
she
just keep it to the electric slide, and that's as far as you should go at a
I,
protest.
I don't know. I would have to see what we talking about. So like I've seen some actions that if I describe them, you will be like, "What does this do?" But when you see it, you be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it." But I do have my like is like I like I'm glad we're having these discussions because I think these discussions should be had. I think this is very grown and I think it's necessary because I think a lot of people having some real childish conversations. Um, but yeah, I do think each incidence is going each use of sexuality has to. And once again, I don't want to be man explaining things to women, but I do feel like there are some sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Let me put it like that.
okay. Well, and I'm not gonna act like I haven't lived and I wasn't young and I didn't grow up, popping it, you know, from the 99 to the 2000s, so
Julie. Okay,
I don't have no problem.
I'm
okay.
not gonna act like that's not part of our culture.
I almost
Um,
got into a car accident off that one.
right.
Wow.
We
So,
shouldn't have played it on the radio.
hey, but as you grow up more and you I'm also not going to say this. I've heard a lot of sisters like confide in me some very terrible things that's happened to them. And you know, um I know that sometimes certain things could be considered flirting and it's really just not. And it's really just is what it is. It's a dance. I've heard someone say that it's a mating call. Twerking's a mating call. I thought that was a bit
I,
extreme.
yeah, and I think and then once again, this is why I'm glad we have these kind of conversations because I do feel like men are going to put a particular impression on things based on what men want out of a particular situation, and I do think that there are a lot of times when I feel like women need to be able women need to be able to have these conversations without just passing out that scarlet A. You know what I mean? Women
I
do need to
agree.
be able to define these situations without it being a judgment on other women,
Oh, I
so that
agree.
Right,
us men
right.
don't,
Hmm.
this don't become no pass to just jump on everything in the club and the excuse be, well, look what she had on, or look how she was carrying herself. It's like it don't matter.
Right.
No do mean no.
Yes, right. Um,
Because, us as a society, we don't normalize women having the same type of uh, dating experience as a man should have. It's like for me, there's nothing wrong with having I call it a pimp phase, okay? There's nothing wrong with a woman having a
Her,
pimp
her and her
phase. You know what I
pimping
mean?
again.
You're having a
She's
good
back on her
time.
pimping.
All right,
You
Mac.
know, that's what exactly. So there's nothing wrong with that, but because of what society tells us, oh, because she's been with him and her, she's a hoe. She has to be one. But
There's a
she's
string
And
of
for her.
heartbroken men in Jersey right now.
Right.
Oh no, they good. They
They good. Oh, they
good.
got over it. They
They're
got
good
over.
now. They're good now. I haven't been called to ask. I haven't heard from you. But
But no,
yeah, we have.
I don't even have to. I don't even think we have to categorize it that way. We're all human. We all have desires, and there are particular
Right,
codes and particular
right.
uh um. As long as we all are adults and we're all of a particular understanding of what a particular
Yes,
situation is,
we're all
and
in
sometimes
agreement.
we can kind of blend that line a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't want to over moralize, like, yeah, me too.
Hmm.
But
I will.
but I
I was gonna say, I will say that I found the old version and the new version of She's Gotta Have It to be sexually liberating. And I don't feel like
haven't seen the
Oh,
new one.
it's on Netflix. It only had 2 seasons. The first
the
season
first
was
one
pretty
was
good,
pretty good. The
and the
second one was
second one was a
trash.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what about like the Issa Rae? Like, I stopped watching it after she started making the comments about Sinhalese, and she started making some comments about just things that I felt were that I just began to question her loyalty to her identity as it pertains to a person who portrays a black woman
right as
in the
a
media,
ADOS woman.
an ADOS woman, by assumption, absolutely. And
Right.
I just didn't watch the rest of them, but I watched the first 2 seasons. And I had, of course, of course, it's comedy. It's going to be problematic. That's what make it funny, right? And I
Right.
don't want to. I don't look at comedy as this sacred thing that can't be critiqued. It should be critiqued. Everything can be critiqued.
Right.
But how did y'all think about that? Is this sexually liberating, or what is that conversation?
What
Because that whole thing is,
insecure?
Well,
No,
I mean,
it's a lot
it's
going on in insecure.
it's a
right.
lot
It's
going
a
on in
lot of
this.
changes. Yeah,
It's
her and
a
Well,
Molly
once
aren't
again,
even
I
friends.
haven't seen since her and old boy was supposed to move in together. Not her and
Yeah,
I haven't seen like I haven't
since
seen any.
Daniel.
Like,
Since
yeah,
Daniel.
I've
Yeah.
only seen season 1 and season
Oh,
2. I stopped
Now,
watching after season
there's a
2.
lot
She
that
made a
happened.
my
comment.
problem is that people only want to say women are liberated when it comes to something sexual. Like we have other things going on. It's
Right.
because we're um openly, we're open about our sexuality. We don't have a problem dating people. For
Right.
me, that's not a liberating experience. That is a
That's kind
human
of regular,
experience.
right?
It's
Yeah.
very regular to
Right,
me. So,
right, right.
what other categories
Can we be
goes
liberated
into the
in?
liberation of a woman?
I agree
That
with
not
that.
shaving your underarms, that's not liberating to me. That
Right.
means I don't feel like it right now, so I don't have to
Highlight
do it.
reel, absolutely,
When I
absolutely.
want to
That's
do it, it will
right.
get
Right.
done.
What is this,
Period.
152?
So it's like for me, the whole feminist. I don't define myself as a feminist. I define my first of all, I'm black first, but I am for things just being correct, things just being right. I'm a Virgo. I want shit in order. So it's like that stuff. It doesn't move me. It does nothing for me. If they bring something else to the table where I can look into that I can relate to, then it will. But sexual liberation, me being a regular looking person, I've been doing that. It's done for me.
Yeah,
It happened. It's not a big deal. That part I don't.
And I think that's the other side of the conversation
I feel
about
the
the
same way.
society. We in the United States of America are extremely conservative to the degree that we don't even realize how conservative that we are. The rest of the world is pretty open on sex, and it's like the
Right.
shit that we're like kids that just found out about it over here. And we're still trying to, we're still in the, oh, it's icky, you got the cooties. We still kind of in that
Because
phase as a society, and it's been so many horrible things um done to
Right.
women and men um
mhm,
because of this this lack of ability to embrace women, femininity, sex, ourselves,
Right.
even homosexuality. Is
Right.
so many taboos that this society has, that is really difficult to even talk about it. And you're absolutely right. Like shit that we shouldn't even. This shouldn't even be really. It's not even like really grown up. Like this is just like some
Right.
shit that we dealing with because there's a lot of people in the society that haven't gotten
That
over
look down
themselves.
over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and you're right about in other countries, like I'm trying not to personalize it, but in other countries, they don't view like you can tell a guy I have another boyfriend in another country, and it's not a problem. Um, you know, it's you know,
Yeah, you
it
got. I mean, you got situations in other like we always look at. We in the West we tend to frame polygamy as a one man and multiple. Whereas in other places, in places in India, there are women who got multiple husbands.
yeah,
Absolutely mind blown,
right,
but it happens. And
right.
so there is a completely different world that we here in the United States of America. It's like it hurt
Because
people's brain to realize people live very differently.
because
Yeah,
America is too focused on image. America is an image-based country when it comes to looks, what people think. You know, everything has to do with what people perceive you as, not what you really are.
but
So that's
even
why it's so like that.
well, I was even having a discussion on Twitter about I guess there were six generations of women,
Women,
and
oh, okay, I saw
hi
that video.
mom, and
Yeah.
someone made a comment about look at all these teen moms, and to me, they have a libido just like everybody else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not gonna thumb my nose down at a teen mom, you know, for having a libido and hormones and wanting to explore things. I think it's more of a failure on
Within reason.
yeah, well, within reason.
And I'm only saying it because I don't want to excuse pedophilia, and I
Oh
feel like
no, no.
Oh,
And so
oh.
when I was talking
which is
about
another part of the Russell Simmons
yes,
The
conversation.
topic of
yes,
teenagers and adult men in our regular lives, people need to talk about that.
definitely. I was not even see, and then in the Twitter conversation, I was saying I kept bringing up teen dads. I said, "You guys have nothing to say bad about teen dads. It's all on the teen
Right, right,
moms."
right.
And why is it that way? So
There is a lot of policing of women, and which is the other thing that I had a problem with. That other conversation. I like I said, I feel like we need to be able to have certain conversations without passing out that scarlet A. And I
right,
think that for men is very difficult because the first thing men want to do is want to police women because that's what we was taught. Just like women grow up with the Prince Charming Miriam myth,
right,
men are taught to be Prince Charming, and we're going to get Cinderella, and or if we're real dudes, if we go out here and be about it, we'll get 72 virgins. You know what I'm saying? We're
right,
we're promised these things too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of dudes want to police women because you found out it wasn't true, and then your little heart is broken because of an expectation, a false expectation. It didn't come true.
right. And so, well, this is what I also wanted to cover is that we tend to not only do we tend to romanticize our human interactions, literally,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, we have this way of. I heard a man recently say, "Well, he treated a hoe like a hoe." And to me, we've got to define a hoe. Like, what is the body count? How often? What do we like? How do we know we treat this person bad and this other person good?
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
how and how
And
do
why
we
does it and
know
why does it
the
have to be a we thing? Like
right?
if that's your protocol, I'm not. If that's your protocol, that's what's up. I do think that there has to be some some barriers in society, because that sounds like something that could become like Thomas Jefferson calling black people less than animal. And so
Right.
we're going to round all of them up and treat
Right.
them like this
Right.
based on a
Right.
particular characteristic. So whatever your characteristic is, whatever your, you know, your social psychological evaluation, your profile, your psychological profile of these particular people, just be understood that your mama fall in that category, your sister fall in that category, your aunties fall in that category, and we all gonna lump them all in together.
Right. Well, you know,
Okay.
and so not even just that, why do you say you want to protect children and women as a man, but only certain women and children,
Right.
right? Why is it got to be conditional? You want black women to support black men unconditionally. You want black women to be silenced to cover up for alleged, you know, things for Russell Simmons.
Right.
But the same courtesy is not extended to what you perceive to be unworthy of your so-called protection. That's what was really irking me. You know, it almost feels like these survivors, the indictment on the survivors is that they deserved it somehow. When you have these conversations, they deserved it because they went to his hotel at 2 a.m. Well, guess what? As a young woman, I've slept in the bed with men before and absolutely nothing happened. And they didn't try anything, and they didn't harm me. That can't be the reason. You get what I'm saying? Like that.
I've done it on occasion. Shout out to Sean, shout out to Ryan, okay?
Right.
But it's like, and then people get these titles as a whole when you don't even know how that interaction began. A lot of these women are led on to believe one thing,
right?
And then when somebody gets what they want, then they're labeled as such,
right?
So some people even fall into that role because they're labeled. You know, it's not their fault, but yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, when people make like certain assumptions.
I don't, you know what, in this particular situation, I don't even know if it's that like I think the reason why the producers ran with Drew Dixon in the way that they did was because of how I think because she does have a particular kind of credibility amongst
Definitely.
a particular kind of men. I thought it was very interesting that Lord Jamal spoke on her behalf, and without even, you know, he volunteered it. You know what I'm saying? And I felt, because I do feel like Lord Jamal is one of those kind of guys that I might expect him to say, she was in the room, she deserved it, but he didn't.
No.
He absolutely said, nah, not this one. And I thought that was I thought that was interesting, because I do feel like, you know, these sisters, it shouldn't matter. And they say it themselves. It shouldn't matter that I'm light skinned. It shouldn't matter that I look a particular way. It shouldn't matter that I have privilege. It shouldn't matter, and it shouldn't.
Right.
But I would also probably add to the list that I don't think that the average dude around them, you know, had any involvement with them either. I think a whole lot of dudes probably tried and got turned down. I think that's what, you know. I think that's the kind of reputation that they had.
Right.
Hold on, it's a big ass spider. Oh my motherfucking god!
Deal with it.
Go ahead. You know, and with you know, Lord Jamar, his wife is in the industry as well, and she's a high-powered manager with an attorney background, and so you know, professional women tend to take up for each other and stand with each other. So I wasn't too surprised. He's well within his masculinity to not be like threatened by his wife's power and all of that. So I wasn't surprised.
And I'm pretty sure he feel a particular way about his own accomplishments in this world. I
Oh
think,
yeah,
I mean, it and in the way that it is, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's for what his presentation is of a practicing 5%er, you know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And I believe that he believes that what he has is, sacred in a way, you know what I'm saying? And to be, I thought Brand Nubian was, worthy of accolade. You know what I'm saying? Like
Definitely,
I think that's a pretty interesting mark to have left on the world. You know what I'm saying? And I think what he's doing right now is interesting. So
definitely.
yeah. But yeah, a lot of dudes probably wouldn't be able to handle, a woman. Yeah, you're right.
Right, right. And so and then also, Drew Dixon, she might have burned bridges in the boardroom, but she didn't burn bridges among the
The
artists.
artist,
And so
obviously,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
obviously,
And
and she,
so
and she does. And I'm interested in seeing what happens with all the names that have been dropped.
right,
And everybody because look, obviously Lord Jamar ain't the only one that had business dealings with her, or that know her in a way that he would find, okay, this is credible, this make me want to, even if I'm not saying I believe her, I'm absolutely not saying I believe Russell Simmons either. I want to hear this case.
right.
And I'm interested in how many other men are going to step up and say, you know what, man, she helped me out too. I'm interested in this conversation too. I like to hear her side a little bit louder too.
Right.
Or
And then Lord Jamar is not a stranger to sexual allegations in hip hop. Concerning Africa Bambaataa, he said
yeah,
if he
right,
did that, then cancel his ass. So Lord Jamar is not one of
yeah,
those
right.
who, you know what I mean? And African Bambaataa to me is more
As for yeah, because there is a hierarchy. Russ, and I want to be careful because I don't know Russ. I don't really know Russ pedigree in them streets like that. I only
right,
know the legend. You know what I'm
right.
saying? But it does seem like somebody like Bambaataa has a little bit more rank in that kind of way
Right.
than Russ. But yeah.
But so
But I'm listening.
that's why it didn't surprise me Lord Jamar, said what he
Oh
said,
yeah.
because, I said if he's saying cancel Bambaataa, and Bambaataa's got stuff in the African American museums in London and New York, Washington D.C. and
He's
and
heavy.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I feel like it almost was because his victims were men that's why that call to cancel him was there, in my opinion. And so I don't know if with the Russell Simmons,
Had it been little girls, you think he
I
might not
don't
have felt
I don't. Yeah, she probably deserved it. She was twerking in his face, and she's fast.
because the male victims say something more about Bambaataa than it might say about the actual person that's being
There you
victimized.
go.
And we actually haven't really heard the story of the victim, to be honest. And the black community doesn't really deal well with male victims of rape. We don't even have while the society has an interesting language around even women raping men. The
Right.
society, there is language around it. The society hasn't adopted it. It's not in the culture, as we
It should
say.
be. It should
Um,
be.
so there's a lot of conversations that I feel like the United States in general hasn't embraced, and black people themselves are kind of not loud about a lot of things, but not loud about a lot of other things that we all know occur and are probably privy to a story or two.
Well, and then you got to think about it. Some of this must be really hard for people because I know certain families to where, victims have to see their predators every Thanksgiving.
Right.
And so if we're not ready
right.
to embrace that on a small level, imagine, somebody as big as Russell Simmons, as larger than life character.
Yeah, right.
We got to deal with our stuff at home before we could really tackle something like
And
this.
being able to kind of find a way to police these things without, it being a situations where I have to send you to a system that I know is going to get it wrong one way or the other.
Right.
I do wish Black people could have handled a lot of these people ourselves, and I kind of wish it wasn't a situation where
we got to depend on the white man's justice
and not
system.
just not even the justice system, but the media and all. You got a bunch of white folks rich off a lot of things that they shouldn't have got. You shouldn't have got a check off this, dog. Like this isn't something anybody should have got a check off of.
Right.
And I do look at I look at HBO a particular way. I look at Lifetime a particular way. I look at Disney a particular way. Disney has exploited Black people a lot, man.
Right.
And for them, and Disney owns some of these companies that are getting a check out of this. So I do feel like I wish we had our own systems of justice in a real way, not no goofy, young, just hostile eye for eye, and you ain't even got to the nitty gritty of the conversation yet.
Yeah, I don't want Bam to be stabbed anymore.
Yeah, right. I want it to be our own thing. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. But I do feel like the problem with the white system is that it's just extremely exploitative. None of it comes back to the Black community,
right.
and then the punitive measures are always questionable. If it or the people who get let off, it's always questionable.
Definitely. And so when we were talking about Drew Dixon's accomplishments, I felt like, wow, she helped like with Lauryn Hill's album.
I was amazed. I was
right.
blown away.
You know how much like transformative the miseducation of Lauryn Hill was for me. And so, I look at that and I'm like, wow. So I could get why the female artist, female executive producer, that's why that album came out so classic, in my opinion, to where, we consider Lauryn Hill the GOAT because of miseducation of Lauryn Hill and the Fuji albums as well. And so, when I look at it, I'm like, wow, she brought a female perspective. She brought like, that Carlos Santana song, Maria Maria, it highlighted Afro-Latinas in a way that we probably haven't seen before. Just
you're all I need to get
all I need. I mean, how hard was Wu-Tang? Wu-Tang wouldn't have put out a love song like that. The closest thing they got is Ice Cream.
Yes, that's the closest.
There are some tracks that they have, and I think like even I think hip hop doesn't get enough credit for it. It's love ballads. I think we have a tendency not to highlight them in the same way that how many awards did Pac get for Dear Mama?
Like
how about Can You Get Away? He's talking about trying to save a woman who's being abused.
Right.
Like it's a lot like we don't highlight a lot of the those kind of songs.
Ghetto Boys had a bunch of songs that were, pretty like about the Black community in a positive light, and so did Goody Mob. I mean, there's several.
But I mean specifically about like Black women in a particular kind of way,
Right.
Big Mike got a song about him, him and his woman, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like the Biggie song. It's not,
Killer Mike. Okay.
Not Killer Mike. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Ghetto Boys Big Mike.
Okay, yeah.
And it's it's ballad like it's not as soulful as what she put out with Mary and Method, obviously, or
Right.
we would have heard more of it. But I do feel like a lot of
I mean, Wise
I
Intelligent,
can't.
has a couple of tracks that are
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
right,
Because
right,
we're taught that
right,
that's
right.
soft, so then they give us, that's
I question who
the
thinks that.
intention.
Like I don't know who. I grew up around a lot of different black men.
I would
All of
love to
them,
hear more love songs in hip hop.
all of them
I
had
bet.
somebody they was in love with. All of them had a sucker full of. I hate to call it like that,
Yeah,
but
but was it cool to be?
straight black men. Obviously this is a conversation in that particular spec. I don't know no brother that ain't never been in love with a woman. And it's kind of a part of the human condition for men and vice versa. I'm sure in the homosexual space. So I question this idea that it's soft. I just think that we don't talk about it enough. If white media doesn't bring it up, we have a hard time making it loud enough to be a part of the conversations. I've been writing for years. I'm published. I can't give nobody 5 mics. I can
Huh.
only give you my opinion. You
Right.
understand? I
Right.
don't have that stature. I don't
All right,
have that
Forrest.
power.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you on that. Ready Rock says that the media is pushing division. I mean,
I
that's
don't disagree. I
that's
don't
new.
disagree.
Yeah,
And
I
and
agree.
and the, and
You're
the,
gonna
and the
have to
division and the
elaborate.
division is there. And Russell Simmons has done something that we should question if we're upset about division occurring.
Right.
See, that's a basic ass statement. You're gonna have to elaborate. I need more
I,
details.
I'm just,
Don't
I'm
say it.
cool with it. I don't want to beat up on the commenters. Damn, we need the commenters.
I mean, we need the
Right.
commenters, but I need them to also come correct.
I
I
just,
don't just
I would add, I just feel like, yeah, of course the media is pushing divisions. Maybe we shouldn't be helping them. That's my
Right.
only point. Like if something, if it was a white man raping black women, I don't know if the conversation would be about a division in media, or the media is trying to make, people divided. You know what I'm saying?
Say it
right.
again now.
The division is
We've seen
already
that with the
there.
cop. We've seen that with
Yeah.
the police officer that got locked up for raping those white women.
Right.
He got his
The
time,
division
which
the
he should
division
have
is
had.
already there.
Hmm.
And we're
Exactly. It's
actually
already
trying to
there.
make we're actually trying to make the situation whole.
Right.
And I'm not
Hmm.
quite sure. Like we said before, HBO is getting a check, and which means a lot of other companies are getting a check, and Oprah pulled out to a degree, man. Like, she still had investment. She was an executive producer. She ain't pull all that money out.
Right.
Somebody got some of that Oprah money, and Oprah got some of that money back.
Just name
Like,
only. Yeah.
yeah, so I just feel like the division was already there, man. Like, I absolutely agree. Yes, the media is this cash cow that wants to reduce all humanity to spectacle, so it can get as much money as out of it as can. And for a long time, Russell Simmons made money off spectacle.
Hmm.
So I feel, I feel like that's not a good defense of Russell Simmons. And I do feel like it is a defense of Russell Simmons.
¿Por qué? Excuse me? You know what? Okay. Well, the next point we're going to talk about,
Okay.
because
The next point.
I could go on for 40 days and 40
No,
nights.
We
Okay.
good. We good. I just had to let you see it.
I like the commentary, man. I appreciate
too.
that
I have
they
no problem with the
comment.
commentary,
I
but
appreciate commenters.
Me too.
Whether I agree with them or I appreciate the commenters.
I
my
agree.
problem is that
I
you
just don't
said
agree with them.
that there is an attitude present when I just asked a question. Why can't that question just be simple? But you already labeled with me with having an attitude. So now, since you had an attitude, you said I had an attitude. Now I'm really gonna have one.
Okay.
It's really gonna come and show if I feel like it. But right now, I don't feel like it.
All right, Curvy.
Next
I
one.
hear you, sis. We got
I
you.
feel I feel you. No, I absolutely feel
I
you.
got
I
you.
feel
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I
But
got you.
I do feel like this is a defense of Russell Simmons.
Yes.
I do feel like it is. I also like Curvy Impact. I also feel like this is a statement that needs to be expounded upon. It needs to represent the nuance of the conversation and the
Right.
Right.
situation. I do think that it's a little too simple to say the media is pushing division. Obviously, I
Exactly.
absolutely
Like,
agree. Yeah, of course they
elaborate.
are.
I need
Everything in
details.
the society is.
Right.
That would mean that I'm assuming. I hate to assume. I don't want to make any
My
assumptions. I
my
want you to
thing
be
is
blatant.
it doesn't right. It does, but it doesn't answer the question: did
No.
Russell Simmons rape Drew Dixon?
Right.
I don't care what the media is doing. It doesn't matter. I'm
Right.
I and to show you how much it doesn't matter. I'm a black man doing a broadcast with two black women.
Right.
We're not divided.
That's right.
So they're failing somewhere, and all I want to know is did Russell Simmons do it? And and
Right.
and I and I would like these women to have they chance
They,
to tell their story.
that's right.
They in court everything.
Yes.
Right.
I won't
I
put
would love to
anything
have
If
a
they
full
can
past.
get that,
investigation.
if they can get that.
I
That
won't
that
put
was the thing that
anything
I
past
wasn't sure about.
anyone.
Like can
Well,
they go to jail? Like can they have a court? Can a
if
charge be
I
enough
brought?
mean,
victims come
criminal.
through, they can. If
Yeah,
enough recent victims come through, they
We can
can.
fix it. So there
but
is a
no,
statute of
there
limitation.
is a statute
There
of
is a statute of
limitation,
limitation, especially in New York,
but they can still bring upon a civil case, which nobody wants to do because nobody wants to make it about money because that's not the point.
because they keep
That,
saying that
It's
because
just
once
about
they
money.
do, yeah,
right.
they're going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew Dixon, she bougie enough. Her children go to private school, honey. They don't.
Yeah,
She's not
right.
hurting.
Right. Right.
Neither is
And
neither is Salai Abrams. She's not hurting. Sherry Sher is not hurting. A lot of these women are not pressed for money. So
And I don't want that to cloud the conversation either.
I don't, but I want
even
to bring that up because a lot of people are trying to say that this is about a civil suit and there still hasn't been one. This
right.
documentary has been out for over a month. They've been talking about this since the beginning of the year,
yeah, they've been talking about this
And,
for a
and
minute. They've been talking about this since like 2000. I think
2017.
yeah,
yes, and I don't think
2017.
people
Yeah.
take enough interest in the stories of victims and how victims react,
My
interact
thing is
with their
even
experience.
even
Right.
even if they did, even if it was about uh, like the conversation of reparations, man. For me, I want my money.
Right. Me too.
And it's old. It's old. Now I think these women should get something a little bit more. It can't, I'm pretty sure you can't buy that memory out of their head. I'm pretty
No,
sure every time, they're with a man, something is lingering there.
I mean,
If the incidents that they say are true, which is
Yeah.
something that we need to
yeah,
get to the bottom of as a
Right.
society, then I feel like yeah, if the only way if the only way we can resolve this is some type of financial remittance, let's get them,
yeah,
let's get these ladies their money and
That's
hurry
it.
up and do it. Let's get them their
and
bag.
as
Regardless of whatever. I absolutely understand what you're saying, abstruse. I just feel like even if it is about the money, they ain't got shit to do with the truth.
Yes, I
no,
agree.
yeah, and
I
as a
agree.
victim myself, I assess the way that I interacted with men, after the fact, not wanting to be, touched, cuddled, everything because it was just so. It was a reminder of the experience. You know what I mean? So this is what I meant by people do not take in account how victims react to to their trauma. You don't know how people are going to, uh, take their trauma in. Like Oprah said, she became promiscuous. That's how she handled it. Me, I became introverted. I didn't want to experience nothing, no talk. I was basically Pat from SNL for so long because
Right.
I did not want to experience something like that in a love situation. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I think I intentionally made myself innocent to a certain extent because this happened between like 7 years old and 11 years old. But I was so green to everything. I remained a kid up until like 15 years old. I intentionally made myself kid-like because I did not want to experience those adult things that I experienced before. So people need to not think they know what these people are going through. Think that, oh, they should have said something before. You don't know. You don't know their story. You don't know why. It's painful, especially when it happens within families. I've been at that Thanksgiving table where I know a cousin did something to another cousin because that cousin was in therapy because of what that cousin did, and now there's tension in the room because both cousins are here at the same exact time. It is not it is not a game. It's not
Right. And I want to address Ready Rock. You know what? I don't mind creating some divisions. I would love to divide between the predators and the good, decent Black men who would never harm a Black woman, who would never victimize a Black woman. I would love to divide them from the rest of the fold. So I don't want to unite with predators. I don't want to unite with people who would harm other people, our own people, and try to gaslight our own people. Get them the hell away. No unity with them whatsoever. So, that's what this conversation's about. There are those in the fold who are predators, who are harming our mothers, daughters, children, cousins, and they need to be dealt with.
correct.
So I don't care about uniting with some tomfoolery, with some criminality, with some deviance. I want to unite with the righteous who try to be righteous, who want to do right by our communities. Those are not the people you should be worried about. We're talking about allegations that are extremely serious. 9 women have come forward and said that they were forcefully, allegedly sexually assaulted. And I can't say the R word on YouTube. Otherwise, I would say the R word.
Really?
No, you cannot say the R word on YouTube. So, otherwise, I would say it. Forceful penetration, forceful copulation occurred. Allegedly. I don't want to unite with those people. Get them the hell out of here. We're trying to get to the innocent ones, the ones who wouldn't do that. So, Ready Rock, you could talk about, whatever you feel the division is about. But we're trying to create more harmony amongst those who want harmony. He doesn't, if Russell Simmons did these things that he's accused of, he doesn't want harmony. He wants control.
Right. That because you've created a situation where there is disharmony. If there is disharmony, then I would, and I'm gonna be real. Like, this isn't. You got the New York, you got what, maybe 3 New York Times pieces out there. And we're talking about over the course of 3 to 4 years. You've got this documentary. You've got bits and pieces of headlines, but this hasn't really been like the focal point. To be honest, I've heard more in the media about LeBron James and the NBA and what's my boy name? Milwaukee. George Hill. And I've heard more about that and Black Lives Matter, and even though that's kind of become right now.
Right.
It's a little different than what I remember.
On a different level.
But I do, I don't want to. I don't want to minimize the conversation about the media and its portrayal of Black people. My concern is that the only time we push back on the media is when we're trying to defend somebody that's got power, that typically a Black man. And I question that. I question that. I want, I'm not somebody that looks at Black power as a question, as a question of wealth. I look at it a little bit differently. My position has always been power to the people, not just the rich people, or not just the people that don't really need, they don't need my voice.
Right.
And my issue with people bringing up the media as being divisive is that nowadays people choose what media they get their news from. It's not like back in the day when you only had channel 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 13, where you pick the station. You're choosing what media you adhere to.
Right.
So saying that the media is divisive, who? Which one? Where? Because as of right now, social media is where most of the news travels to.
Right.
Nobody is sticking to Fox News, CNN, ESPN on a regular basis, except for a certain demographic that is of a certain age group. Okay? So if me and you are talking about Black representation and we have a following, we're talking about Black representation with our following, and then we're going to talk about the next following. That's who we're talking to. I don't know what those other people have going on at this point, to be honest with you. I don't know what they're pushing. I know what we're pushing because that's the focus for me.
Right.
Okay, so focus on what you need to focus on, not what other people are doing. Okay, you're in control of your life.
That's right. And Ready Rock, I do appreciate your interaction.
When he said, when you say is he speaking about like Russell Simmons discussing Black representation?
I mean, he said that the comment said that you spoke about Black creators having a positive message involving Black women in the community. So he was referring to that. So that's what he's talking about. But he's saying the media is pushing the subdivisions of Black people. And yeah. So I maybe that's when I was killing the spider. I didn't hear that conversation. But
he talking about when I was talking about like I only talked about like the situation with Rhapsody. Is that like we talked about a lot of shit tonight?
That's why I say I need details.
I don't.
And I get it. It's on. He's typing. He probably he might even be on the phone. Like I don't want to. I want to. I want to tease out a conversation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to understand it.
Oh, I don't have a problem.
I don't know Rock. You know what I'm saying? Rock is not, Rock has not been, not to my knowledge. He hasn't
problematic. No.
He hasn't been accused of anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to,
He said I had an attitude, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, then there's that. There's that. Yeah.
I've heard it many a time. I'm cool.
That's okay. Rock, Black women, we get that statement all the time when we kind of stand firm in the statements that we say, or the, rebuttals or the answers that we say. So, just, keep in mind that that's not the nicest statement to make to a sister, especially when we get that from the slightest, agitation.
It's a stereotype. It's a stereotype of Black women. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And I
talk about division.
For me, it's always like I always try to be careful with people because I don't want people to read me the wrong way. I too have my thoughts about this concept of unity. That's why I said earlier, at the local level, I need flexibility. When we start to having these national conversations, these real loud conversations about air, then I don't mind these abstractions and whatnot, whatever. But on ground, I have a family and I have to protect my family. I am the first line of defense for my family. I can't just be everybody's friend. Now, I believe in having an understanding and an overstanding,
Right.
but it has to come with a vetting process because I can't just let everybody in my life.
Right.
So,
Oh my goodness. We're gonna let it go. We're gonna let it go.
yeah.
We're gonna let it go. Rock.
But
thank
but I
you
but I
so
but I
much.
do believe in having an understanding and believe and building an understanding with people and that's what's up. Like, but I can't be everybody friend, man. That's
Right.
it's 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 bigger than that than us having these. If we can't talk about criminal activity, and this is not me saying black on black crime or anything like that,
Right.
but it is a statement about grown up stuff, things that happen. If we can't have that conversation without it causing people to feel like this is being divisive, then we are in we're in a world of trouble here.
Right.
I have to have debates and arguments with my wife because that's how communication happens.
Right.
We have to communicate, and sometimes I'm going to have to say something that she does not agree with, and it may get divisive for a minute in other person's viewpoint. But the reality is, this is how our conversations need to go because we are two different people, and in order to have an understanding, we have to work out the misunderstandings. And I feel like this we're talking about we're talking about somebody saying a lot of bodies
Right.
saying that this one person, God damn it, we can't say nothing on her, can we?
No.
You know, what's on the table is a very this is grave. If we can't discuss this, then what can we talk about as a people? What can we discuss? You know what I mean? It's one.
You right
Granted,
back
I
to
get
Bella Noche.
right. like I get, even though HBO and them got a check, I'm sure Oprah still got a check, and probably Ava probably still got a check too. Hell, Russell might even got a damn check out of this. I still appreciate how they presented it.
Right.
They tried their best to say, hey, look, man, we understand the history of black men in this country.
Right.
We also understand the history of black women in this country. We understand light skin privilege. They tried their best to put everything on the table so that we could just hear the stories because the stories ain't been out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel like
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say I feel like Drew Dixon led them in the correct direction when she mentioned all of these elements herself. She was mentioning how I don't want my innocent black son to ever be accused of anything because I'm exposing someone else.
It's sad that she had to have these thoughts.
Right. Because I don't think white women have these thoughts necessarily about
It was what I thought it was interesting. Like I didn't want to conflate the two incidents because I do feel like what happened with Meg and Tory Lanez is very different than this. But
definitely.
I can understand the thread that these two situations share. This idea of needing to protect black men, and in the same way that Ida B. Wells had to, go write the Red Book. You know what I'm saying? Because black men get killed a lot
Right.
and rape, and often because somebody has yelled rape or whatever. It really didn't take much. You can get lynched because somebody says you whistled at them.
Right.
And then on their deathbed say it didn't even happen. So I get that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I also want to talk about misogynoir in the workplace. You know, and that old saying, you have to work twice as hard to get half the recognition. I mean, how many generations has that saying gone back? Black women have always been in the workforce.
Always.
And so that white feminist concept of, wanting to be able to work and hiring practices, it's not a choice for us most of the time. We have to work. And so the hip hop industry during the 80s and 90s, it sounds like a really wild time for Def Jam. They said it was more like a club setting,
Okay.
and club etiquette is definitely not what should be in the workplace for certain. I'm sure there was lots of illicit items available and things that weren't necessarily considered workplace proper. And the fact that the president of the company can tell the A&R, I don't want to see you, because you may be, involved with someone else that works here.
Or that somebody could say that and it be kind of like, okay, yeah, I could see dudes saying that. That it could be that it's that kind of environment. Yeah.
Right.
He basically reduced her to a superficial prop and totally pushed aside why she was there, or even didn't even think that she was there for a reason other than that she was tall, skinny, and beautiful.
Right. And Russell Simmons, at that time, he wasn't the guru guy that he is now, from my understanding. He was the playboy, the loudmouth hustler.
And I don't know what he is now. I just know
what he's portraying.
He's still a loudmouth. He's still
know,
cursing and talking shit. He still do all of that stuff.
I was saying, I only know the role that he play on TV, man. And like I want to be careful about these parasocial relationships that we have with wealthy Black people.
Definitely.
Like our parents and our grandparents went through the generation of calling everybody because a Black person was on television, because that even at that time, that was not a normal thing. It was, you know what I'm saying? Each generation had their Julias or whatnot. We didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up in it. When I was born, Good Times was on, Sanford and Son was on. Then I had, Cosby and Cosby again at college, or a different world. And then I had the cheap Cosby, Family Matters, and what I'm saying? Like I've had a lot of you like that? Huh?
Yeah, I did.
I've had a lot of different Black people, I've had a lot of time to analyze Black celebrity now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up in an era where I didn't have that opportunity. Furthermore, I am somebody who at 12 years old, you know what I'm saying, I was outside the record store. I was outside of wherever I could get some music with however I got some money to buy NWA, Ice Cube, BDP, PE, every Too Short, so I grew up on this particular kind of medium where these future successful Black men, had my ear. You know what I'm saying? And it was a whole lot. It was a whole lot of successful rap dudes throughout my childhood, my teenage years, and my adulthood. So I have had a lot of time to think about what it means for me as a citizen of hip hop, as opposed to an artist, so to speak. And what is my relationship to strangers who entertain me?
Right.
And that's our relationship.
That's right. And I think what it is that we feel like we get to know people through recordings, right? And so there's been times where people contacted me you know, after watching my social media for a while, and they thought they knew me, because I give tidbits of my life away.
Right.
You know, I can only imagine a celebrity who gets, like, you know, pushed in our media so much, how people would perceive that they know that person because they were on Cribs and I got to see your living room and your theater system.
We're best friends now.
Right. You know? So I could only imagine, you know, how people make those connections. You know, I'm not one for celebrity worship myself, but I get it. I get why people do.
Especially if we are using this, maybe he thought I talk about what, I think there's a difference between the space of there's a conflation between the activities of a Malcolm X or a Dr. King, maybe even a Paul Robeson, but I really believe that people have pushed Paul Robeson outside of their mind. Maybe a Marcus Garvey, community organizers. I don't even want to say leaders. Community, because it don't take much to be a leader. A leader is just a person who got followers. The followers come a dime a dozen every generation. Right. But community organizers in the social political space who were Black and organizing Black people, who reached a level of notoriety in their life that we now kind of associate with the celebrity, because the celebrity was different in Malcolm X's day. Malcolm X is talking about Dick Gregory. You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, who he's, you know, celebrity was very different. You know what I'm saying? In our era, we do have, you know, a bigger pool of people to pull from and kind of look up to. And I did have a problem when Beyonce had the sisters dressed like in Black Panther garb, and I felt like it does become kind of misleading, because you're not Asada,
right?
You're not Feeney,
right?
You're not Angela,
right?
You're not those women. You know what I'm saying? And neither, and your music isn't in that, it doesn't go in that direction at all.
Nowhere near Nina Simone.
And I want to say something else, but only because, once again, I don't want to be man explaining to women, but I felt the way when she had the big feminism thing in the background. Like I began to question, you know, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there nothing sacred? Is there nothing that you can't, you know, right? It, like, everything is everything is up for sale, and anything can be used to sell records and to make money in entertainment. And people begin to conflate. People do conflate, you know, Ella Baker with Beyonce. Right. Like, you really, people, you know, Pac said in the song, I bet you got it twisted. You don't know who to trust. And that's kind of where we're at. We are in a situation. Look, you know, I like watching LeBron James play ball, and that's it. That's it. I don't need LeBron James to do.
He has a beautiful Black family. I've seen his social media.
Yeah, you know,
I like to look at them.
You know, it's okay. You're never going to be Malcolm.
Right.
Never.
Right.
It's just not your build and your makeup.
Right.
So don't.
But I'm kind of confused on why people are looking to these public figures to be
because we've conflated notoriety with leadership. We've conflated fan base with political platform.
Well, and our activists want to be,
and our activists are careerists.
Our activists want to be celebrities as well.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
I feel like
unfortunately, all of us. What does social media and what does the drug of attention do but make us want to become celebrity? Like, what is popular? what is the point of chasing popularity other than become popular? Like that's my biggest concern. Even and I'm somebody I make money with this. I decide I build my client base. I do a lot online. This is what I do. But I am constantly questioning what's going on because I am somebody who has studied this for a long time. I'm somebody who studies things, and I try to be real with myself. What direction can this possibly be taking us in? We keep seeing these activists online, and their biggest thing is to build these followings. And this is what we begin to call leadership.
Right. Well, and
it's not organizing, and it's barely active.
And a lot of these people don't even live in Black communities like that.
Oh God. Oh God.
Or deal with Black people like that in real life. And so, when we talk about, activism, to me, it's not just necessarily boots on the ground, but your connection to the Black community is I'm Black and I don't live there.
You got to hit the highway to get to us. Right.
And so, if that's the case, how close are you to the Black community? Because, if you're going to be an ambulance chaser, I'm gonna need you to have a real connection to somebody from that community.
I agree.
Yeah,
right.
They're told that because they're on a certain level that they can't go back there anymore. And it's like, me growing up, just to think about the famous people that came to my neighborhood. Okay, well, I'm from Newark, East Orange, so we saw Naughty by Nature a lot. We saw Queen Latifah a lot.
Right.
I remember seeing Redman when I was walking out of my college.
Dope.
And I seen Spreewells for the first time in person. So I was like, oh, this is Spreewell. And then he rolled down the window and it was Redman. So I was like,
Brick City.
I had shoe boots on heels. I was jumping up and down. He was just laughing at me. So these people are not afraid to be in the Black community, and they be with us, giving the kids money and everything in the project. I lived in Little City Projects in East Orange. They recorded the video there, and it's like a lot of these people, they would never step foot back into the community in which they came from.
If some of them even are actually from those communities.
From those communities, really.
And I'm not knocking that. I don't want people who grew up in predominantly white communities to feel alienated, but the conversation that we're having is if you are that distant from the particular trauma, maybe you ought to be helping those who will still be there when you go back home.
Right.
Instead of, when you leave and take this camera crew with you and your new group of followers with you, what have you left? What have you left the people who still have to heal?
Right. And so looking at it from that perspective, what else can you do for the community besides scholasticize their pain?
Academize,
right.
If they're not building anything solid, then it's pointless. Nobody in a trailer park is saying Eminem is anything.
I don't need another term in the white man's institutions to identify.
We don't need more theory.
Yeah.
We don't need more theory.
We need action. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We need action.
And something that's like I think, and I think this is another thing. Like we have romanticized the 60s and the 50s, really, and the 20s, and other eras. Let me just say it like that, to such a degree that we're not really studying what happened. All we see is, somebody on a podium giving speech, people applauding, and that's why we associate applause with some form of life sacrifice
Organizing.
for a particular cause. When those people went into Lowndes County, they weren't there to be activists. You just see them doing the marching because that's just one thing that they were doing. But they were going door to door and they were trying to get to know these people because they needed to teach those people how to do these things themselves because they understood we're about to leave.
Right.
I'm going. I got something else about on the way. I got some hot cooking for me, and I need you to know how to defend yourself. I need you to know how to put your own, not just vote, but how to put your own people in local offices, against the Klan, against the Dixiecrats, against on ground people who are ready to go kill every black person they see. Not this new age shit that we dealing with. Something totally different, a much different reality. So these people should be carried at a much higher level of stature than the wealthy people are, than our entertainers.
Right.
Like I'm not knocking our entertainers, but they're our entertainers, man.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even,
want to say that I hold something that I think they should be doing something. I don't think that. I don't look to them as like, oh, what are you doing for the black community? But if you're talking about it constantly, I'm going to need to see some production from you. I'm going to.
Well, I don't have a problem with donating money, but I do have. How is Black Lives Matter on a basketball court really, addressing the concern? Like, it makes once again Disney, it makes Disney more money and it makes Michelob more money. These are people who are sponsors who also have their logos on the same basketball floor as the Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
Michelob is a sponsor. Disney, and I saw it's one of the truck company, one of the car companies is out there too. It's a number, corporate America has chipped in because there's money there. They see an audience and they don't care about being on the right side of history. They want to be on the right side of a check. They want to be on the right side of the market. You know what I mean? They know that this is a bunch of young people growing up, and the same thing that happened with the marketing communities of the 60s. They say, okay, psychedelic colors, we cool with that. Put that on something. What's the slang? Use that. Throw some guy with a box of Newports and a black fist and an afro. Put a pick in his hair. They've been doing this.
Seeing these people on TikTok making products with the Black Power fist, Black Lives Matter shirts, all these people profiting off of this movement, it pisses me off. I don't
and really just dead black bodies. We really don't care about black people. It really is all about black bodies, dead black bodies.
It's about the show. It's all about the show.
It's about spectacle.
I mean, it's all gimmicky, right? It's all become a gimmick.
It's all gimmicky.
Yeah, they all got.
The bottom line.
They all got an intro. They all got an outro. I could do a little mock scenario right now, but it's and now it's becoming like a wrestling promo. I don't know if you guys remember those.
I remember my grandma made me watch.
Right. And so, the wrestling promos, they're just showing you a whole lot of attitude and they're saying like, you better be there next week.
Right.
And it's, it's adversarial. A lot of times, they would battle people on a personal level when it comes to just ideology and their personalized attacks.
And you bring up a good point because even like the way Joe Biden talked to Charlemagne was like a wrestler, just like that. If you don't see how I'm better, then you're not black. That is that.
You ain't black. He said you ain't black.
You ain't black. It is this language of the promoter.
He went to too many cookouts. He got invited to too many.
I thought he was
too damn comfortable. He was too comfortable in his position with black people. And
he went to one too many beer gates, beer, celebration of
telling you.
police officers with Barack Obama. He
But
went
he
to
was in
one too
there.
many beer summits and he felt something.
He was
He
in
had
there
it in.
He was swag surfing in there at the White House when Obama had that party.
Right.
But that's the problem. Obama gave out one too many passes that he shouldn't even had.
Right.
Mhm.
He
That
barely
happened.
had one.
You barely in the door,
Yeah,
like
Right.
you see that within our community,
and now all of
people
a sudden here come
who say the N
Kamala.
word freely. We give them too many passes. They get too comfortable. It's like,
That's right.
nah, you gotta know. And this is why I tell my best friend who is white. I'm telling her, and she introduced me to her family as a Black Panther at 17 years old. This is why I tell her it's a no. You can't
So no.
do that type of thing. No, no. So she has never said that word ever. Because it's no games. It's no games. They made them too damn comfortable.
Right. Yeah. And then, all of this call out for allies. I mean,
I,
Right.
I already said how I feel.
I think that's kind of where the co-optation occurred. You know what I'm saying? You ask for allies so much that now all of a sudden there's nothing but allies out there, and
Right.
it's their thing now. And I do feel like I'm serious. Like let's just do Occupy Wall Street Part 2. Whatever y'all need to call it, we call it that. But let's just do that. Let y'all have y'all thing. Get out the way. Get y'all whatever y'all need to get off. Get off. Let us watch y'all do some things. We pick up some new tricks
Right.
and then we apply it to our causes. Because right now, y'all being at the helm of our thing to me just won't work.
No.
It can't. It can't be the Black Panthers led by Justin Timberlake. That's just not going to work.
I
It
think
has to be.
the problem really is that people feel the need to be labeled as something. Why can't you just
I
be a
agree.
good person?
I
Being a
agree.
good
Right.
person
Decent
I
doesn't
human
agree.
need
being.
a
I
label.
agree.
That's why I feel like I never need to be labeled as a feminist or
Like
anything like that. I'm just gonna be
But
who
does
I
Black
am. And if that's
livelihood matter? Does
right,
Black livelihood matter? Let's talk about reparations and see how many of these BLM people fall out. Because I'm realizing that a lot of these people who are calling themselves allies, they don't believe in equality for real like that.
I'm not quite sure I've
but they
had
can
any
believe in
of
an
them
inheritance.
set out a list. Like I'm cool with the Bernie. Like I said, I want y'all to get y'all own thing for this exact reason, because a lot of these people have never really studied enough of the Black ideological space to understand what policy measures we've been fighting for. You know,
For years.
yeah,
Yeah,
centuries, what I'm saying, longer
definitely.
than any of us have ever been alive. Like
Definitely.
these are none of this is new.
Right.
Reparations isn't new. None of this is
No.
No,
new. All of
no.
this is
We've been
shit that
talking about this
existed in the 1800s.
Right.
Nothing that's on the table right now is a new discussion. None of it. It's all old conversations. So and I've had some discussions with these people, and they don't have a lot of vision. Um,
My
at, you know,
moral.
at best, they can quote Bernie pretty good, and a few of them have some mangled marks. They read a little Hegel. They took a political science class back at undergrad or some shit like that. But the most of them don't have they have no understanding of what agendas are actually on the table, and they can't defend. They can't defend the actual conversations outside of they might be able to throw a few numbers here or there, but they really not, they're not soldiers in that kind of way.
Because they're not on the ground. A lot of these people
even
have not
even the
spent
ones that's on
time
the
in
even the
those
ones that's on the
communities.
ground aren't 100%, or we wouldn't hear this concept of allies. There's no pushback even on the conversation of ally. You
I
can't.
haven't.
The first minute I heard the word ally, I was like, ally is somebody I ride with. An ally
Right.
is not somebody that I treat any kind of way, and you go to
Right.
the front line. That's not an ally. We both go to the
Right.
front line together. It's
That's
an
right.
ally.
That's why I'm like, if you have not spent an extended amount of time in the Black community in somebody's house, doing whatever,
I
you
agree with that.
cannot speak on the experience
I don't.
or what Black people need. You need to go there to see. TikTok videos is not going to tell you the whole
No,
story. You
right,
need to
right,
be
right.
there.
Absolutely.
You
Right.
you need to be there.
My concern is that these people don't even have their own mind. This is
Right.
we're not,
Mhm.
I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking in
Right.
general. It's broadcast. I don't feel like just naming any names. If we need to get there, we'll get there. Um, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with dealing with people directly.
Right. Me too.
But right now we're just having a general conversation.
Yeah.
There, the profile, the type of person that I've dealt with so far, they don't they don't have a mind of their own as far as the political space is concerned. They see the spectacle, they've heard that, this is wrong, and so they believe that they need to show up. For many, it's no different than putting a marathon flag and a blue heart in their
Bio.
their bios, or their name, their screen names. And that's about what this is for a lot of people. Saying Black Lives Matter or going to a protest is about the same as going to a concert to them. This is just part of
The
the
spectacle.
pop cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? This is what you do. In one era you wore tie dyes and you went to Woodstock. In this era, you wear a black shirt with Black Lives Matter or I Can't Breathe in Comic Sans that you got from Jay-Z, and you go out to a protest site and you throw government given passed out Molotovs
Right.
at police stations that don't have anybody there, or police cars that have just been left in the middle of the fucking street.
Of nowhere.
Um,
Yeah.
and this
Okay.
is a political movement to them. And when you ask them about, what is your vision? What is your political aspiration? What do you believe about power? How do you think what is your notion of the great society? How do you think, power should be divided amongst people? They don't really have a conversation. If you ask them, well, what do you think about leftist politics? What do you think about Adolph Reed Jr.? Or what do you think about, the thoughts of Jacobin or whatever? You know what I'm saying? They haven't been tapped in, they're not clued in, they haven't read
Because
any of this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
they
I feel like
they are no
it
longer required to be a student
they're no
of
longer required to be a
what
student.
they believe
They're no
in.
longer,
Back
it's
then,
just,
you had to read about it. Now they only read headlines, and that's what they go on.
if
You
that
have to
It's
be
if
that
that
sometimes
informed.
I think they look at random social media personalities and get vicarious atonement through
and jump
them.
on that, bro.
So,
Mhm.
And I'm talking about the quote unquote influencers. I'm talking about the people that got platforms. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about
yeah,
the people. These
I'm
are
talking
people
about
that,
the big ones.
right, right,
Right.
right, right,
Right.
right.
Because too many people are focused on what they think and not what they know. I tell my children all the time, what you think and what you know are the same thing.
Or
Okay.
what they believe you want to hear, or what they, is.
Right.
And I think that right now the white left is in a dangerous position because it doesn't have any thoughts of its own.
No.
And it is just
That's
an
correct.
attempt to appease, and it doesn't have an answer to the two-party system. It didn't push
No,
Bernie in that particular kind of way. It doesn't,
they're not
it's
thinking
not
that
really,
far.
it's not really backing any of these other parties, and there's no consideration for any other idea. And if there's
Mhm.
no other ideas being brought to the table, then you're not really helping. It's
Right.
enough bodies. It's enough bodies. Reason why we're here is because it's too many damn bodies in the street. Too
Right.
many dead
Correct.
bodies. That's the
Right.
Yes.
problem.
That's
We don't
right.
need more
Mhm.
dead bodies. We need some
Right.
some ideas. We need some,
Yeah.
we need you, if you got, this platform, you need to come up with some fresh ideas, man, and try to put that on the table.
Mhm.
But I
And I
don't
feel
think the
like they
point
don't.
is to have fresh ideas. I
What's
don't
that?
think that's the point of them.
It's not.
Uh,
It's not. Obviously, it's not.
yeah, and
Or
so
or they would have fresh ideas.
right, and to me, one of my elders told me, you, really, you don't talk about having allies. They're either
They
there or
don't.
they're not.
Or they not.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
Um,
Right.
You will see them if they're there.
You know who
yeah.
show. You know who's gonna
Mhm.
show up and who not. Right.
Right. And so, like, nobody's really an ally until they try to dismantle the system and not
Mhm.
just, disrupting peaceful protest.
Mhm.
Um, but
or doing it just to piss somebody off, because we
right.
see that a lot now. People
Where's the
doing it just to
where's
piss
the
off
Edward
the
Snowdens for the
corporate.
Black community?
Right,
That's a good question.
right.
That's a
Right.
damn good question. That's a
So
damn good question.
if
Yeah.
we, unless until we get one of those type of allies, you know,
Or really just one of our own, man. Like I kind of
well,
want the Edward Snowden to be one of us, but I absolutely understand what you're
I'm not
saying.
saying that. I was definitely trying to say. I definitely
No,
would
no.
love for it to be our own.
If you're going to be an ally, have some real
Some
skills and have
intel,
some. Be
And have some
dangerous.
right?
experience.
Like be dangerous.
Right.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
have some
shit. Bring something to
experience.
the
Like,
table.
don't be
Right. I need
afraid
more
to.
than just a hashtag.
Right. I want to see you hanging out on the
Especially if
ad.
you're right, especially if you're the only one that's going to benefit from it. If when
Mhm.
this is over next year or whatever, probably December,
Oh,
whenever this ends, because it's going to end shortly, um, and these communities need something, you need to have left something with them that's a sustainable thing, and
yeah.
I do think like yeah, can
Yeah.
can
People need
can can you
substance.
hack a database? Can you
Yeah.
can you do some are you dangerous? Like, and
Right.
can you
Right.
teach
Right.
people to be as dangerous or put them on the road
Well,
to that?
Right.
I mean, it
Without
takes.
without too much
I would
legal
like somebody
involvement.
with a particular set of skills. You don't have to have a lot of money.
Oh,
I'm sorry for the Liam Neeson reference. But yeah, definitely want somebody, who have something to offer other than lip service,
Mhm.
um, and clout.
right.
Um,
Self and self, more
Talk is
reason for
cheap.
self-aggrandizement.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, it's kind of what we've been saying, we're already dealing with the powerful in ways that's difficult to kind of handle. We don't really need we don't need more extreme. We don't need celebrity to be your only gift. Like if
Mm.
all you got is the platform, it's not really, that hasn't helped. Black people have had Step and Fetch It was balling, like out of whack. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
do and even Hattie McDaniel, drop money in the community and all that kind of shit.
Correct.
Excuse my language. And black people have had millionaires. Black people have had
Mhm.
a lot of money. Like that isn't the actual. That's you need
Problem.
more than that. You need
yeah,
you
we
need
got a
more than
trillion
that.
dollar spending, thing right now. Like
So, yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
help. We don't have the
and
power.
whatever, right, and whatever that means to anybody, it's not actual power.
Right.
Spending power isn't power. It's
Right.
you're just a
Giving
consumer.
the power to be a consumer is not something to be proud of.
Right. That's not power.
Um
That's not
yeah. So it's just we've got to continue to come up with better ideas, fresher ideas, and not even just newer ideas. I think a lot of our ancestors, our elders,
that
had
gives
some great
ideas. Yeah.
ideas, and we could look to them for a lot of the
An extension of helping whatever programs people weren't able to complete, that we have the ability to assist on, or even just remix in our own kind of way. No, I absolutely agree with that as well. My thing is just everybody do what they doing, but this kind of blank idea and only going with what's popular, what's loud, like that can't be the program. That's just that's just entertainment. And I think there
right
is a confusion of there's a difference between entertainment and political
organism.
change. Yeah,
Right.
organisms
Right.
and political change. It's
Mhm.
not and you don't have to get behind people just because you like them. The popular
Right.
person. That's not the game
Mhm.
either.
Right.
Mhm.
But
Right.
don't get behind Biden.
Right. And what really confused me is that for a long time the left was claiming that Donald Trump had a lot of sexual allegations, and he does. Um, uh, and then they choose Joe Biden, who
Right.
has
Right.
a lot of inappropriate interactions
Right.
allegedly as well. So,
as well as the the attacks on Trump are accurate, but the attacks on I am going to say that the attacks by Biden are worse because Biden has pushed policy. Trump has made some interesting decisions in forms of redlining, which are atrocious.
definitely.
But Biden pushed the crime bill. Like you got to be punished for that. You got
Yeah,
to be punished for that. He
right.
pushed the crime bill, dog. Like we've been talking about. This is what we've been talking about.
For
This is
the
mass
last,
incarceration.
right.
This is the new Jim
New
Crow.
Jim
All
Crow.
of that.
Right,
This is the guy. This is the guy.
right,
He wrote it in blood and didn't care. Said it on the floor. It doesn't matter if they were from these communities, they haven't been socialized properly, if they weren't loved properly, it doesn't matter. These are the words that he said. You got to be punished for that, man. Now you can't get no presidency for that, dog.
no,
You got to be punished, man. You can't. That's sinful. That's sinful.
I agree. I
And
agree.
it's
And
crazy that those certain bills weren't put in place already for people like Gotti, Al Capone, and all of those
Right,
people. Those
right,
people are
right,
revered.
right.
I stayed at a hotel that used to be Al Capone's house, and they made me know that. Why did I need to know that that was his house before
right,
I stayed there? It,
Because
it's
people think
crazy.
that is a big thing.
Right,
Like
right.
you said,
When you're a
that's
white
celebrated.
criminal, yeah, when you're a white criminal, you're Jesse James, you're Calamity James. By the way, I love Calamity Jane, but Doris Day, I love that movie. But you're Calamity Jane,
Even
and
Donald Trump, for
right.
years, they
oh,
celebrated Donald Trump,
for nothing, for nothing. Even in Atlantic City, when all the
because it
businesses were going down, people were had no work, out of jobs.
Right,
Contractors are not being paid. I'm living there at the time, so we
right,
hear all of these things. No two-bit hustler can get past me, but
right.
these green people that has never met somebody that just talks shit all day. This is all Donald Trump does. Talk crap. Oh,
and that's why rappers embrace them because that's
uh-huh.
a lot of hip hop has kind of reduced itself to a particular aspect of the underground culture,
Yeah,
and they looked at him as a hero for those exact reasons, same reason
Because when
why
you have
they worship
money,
Floyd
Scarface.
then you're
Mayweather.
right.
Yeah,
As long as you have money, then you must be doing something right.
And that,
And
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
respectability politics thing.
it
Somebody else
is,
told me that, oh,
it
I have a
is.
friend in the FBI, so you don't think your friend in the FBI can lie too? That just because you
they're trained
have
liars.
They
money
train
don't
liars.
mean that you are
Hey,
you're to be trusted.
Hey,
And
that's why I had a
money.
problem with Russell talking, and they didn't say nothing. Like Russell kept talking about a polygraph test that he had took, and
Oh
I'm thinking, man,
boy,
that shit ain't even admissible in court. You can't
It's
take a
not.
polygraph
it's
test.
not.
Ain't like that.
It's
Like people
not.
have hacked the polygraph test. When we was kids, man. What are you
Right.
talking
Right.
about?
Like it's not admissible in court, and just because you took one of those does not mean that
It
you
doesn't
don't
mean
have the
anything.
capabilities of being a dirtbag
Mister,
and
I can
a
meditate for
cocaine.
hours.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
right.
can guys. I
Yeah,
don't
you can
think you
make
can
your
pass.
body feel a whole lot of ways. You didn't convince yourself all kind of shit, dog. You think
telling
I'm
you, and
crazy? Yeah,
the fact that
what you
all of
do.
their stories had similarities with him walking out of the bathroom in the same state, that blew
Man,
me.
everybody that know him and know her have said the same thing, man. Hey, man, I believe this one. They can't say Russell Simmons a lot because they're gonna lose whatever they got going on financially. But they damn sure have said, hey, I believe, they won't call him a liar, but they damn sure ain't calling her no liar neither.
And
Right.
then that's my
They
thing. Why?
everybody tiptoeing because it's Russell Simmons. You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's
like
Russell Simmons. It's Russell
I hate to
Simmons, man.
tiptoe. It's like I hate to tiptoe. Like a lot of my family, they don't really mess with me like that because I be
Me
talking.
too.
I'm not
I
good at it
say
either. I'm not
whatever it
good at it.
is. Yeah, I don't want to tiptoe. If it is what it is, then we need to address it the way that it should be addressed. I'm
I
not
try
giving
to be
nobody
understanding. I try to
sympathy.
be fair though, but yeah, and I try to be courteous.
Oh, I
But
definitely
yeah,
try to be
yeah,
fair, and I'm
yeah. I
definitely
don't want to
understanding
tiptoe
due
though.
to Yeah, due to my own life experiences, I am understanding. But if you need to be
Right.
persecuted, you need to go down. There's no if it.
Or if everybody's story gotta be heard, man, let's put everybody's story out there, in all of
Right.
these cockamamie as excuses and whatnot. Like, like don't treat everybody like that, man. Like I feel like Russell Simmons kind of treated the Breakfast Club like, like little kids, man.
Right.
And if I was
And
them,
they
I'd have been
acted in
upset about
kind.
that.
They
Right,
acted in kind.
right, right,
I had a problem that when they did interview one of the ladies that was on the documentary, Salai Abrams, um, only Angela Yee was present. I had a problem with that.
right,
I had a
Really?
problem with that.
right, right.
Um, Charlemagne, he has allegations against him from when he was younger in
Right.
South Carolina as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see possibly, I don't know, he was in the R. Kelly documentary. So if you could be in the R. Kelly documentary, honey, you could sit in this
There you go. There
conversation.
you go. Right.
And then DJ Envy, you have a wife and you have kids, you have children, you have
Envy
daughters.
is Envy soft like baby thighs. I can't stand Envy. Okay,
Right.
I can't stand him.
Curvy.
I can't even hold him
Impact.
to a certain standard because he's trash. As far
Right.
as I'm him and I don't want to say his wife is tacky. Okay.
I don't know. I can't go that far, but I do feel I do feel like, if you're going to play, the Barbara Walters, the journalist angle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are some expectations to that particular
Mhm.
conversation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And at least present yourself when both sides are going to be, if you're going to be seen with Russell Simmons, be seen with the women that are accusing him as
Thank
well,
you.
and have
That's
that
what I was
conversation too.
Mhm.
Because
right.
you never know what question you could bring out that's going to assist us in some enlightenment here on what's
Yeah.
going on here,
Right.
man. And
Right.
then
And
and
it's
then
like
Angela G, you could probably use some help, man, because
correct because people are eliminating the fact that we need all perspectives in this conversation. We
Right.
don't need to just she's a woman so maybe she can relate. We don't need that. We need the
yeah, you
men
don't,
to
yeah,
speak up
yeah.
and say, you know, and this is why the whole conversation of black men don't protect black women thing. The only topic that I ever bring up in that conversation is being in the setting where
Your mic, sis.
can you hear me?
Uh,
Can you hear me now?
it's that. That's better.
Okay, like women are overly inebriated, drunk, whatever, and no men that are not involved in that situation will stand up and say, "Oh no, she too far gone. Don't do that."
I
It's
think,
like,
I don't know, like some of that I have my thoughts about. Like I do. I do want to be careful about certain general conversations. Like I can't say that I can't say in every situation black men not standing. I do feel like in celebrity spaces, man,
yeah,
it
I don't
does
believe
come.
it's in
Like I
every
I
had like I
situation.
had a concern about the conversation with and she's so wild, man. What is her name, man?
Ooh.
RZA and
Azalea Banks.
Azalea Banks, thank you. I
yes.
had my thoughts about that because I felt, and I get it, you know what I'm saying, but I did feel like if you're gonna be in a situation where you put a bunch of white people, y'all drinking and everything going on, even if you don't know, I think there are some tactics that a person can use that we're all taught in the black community to kind of diffuse situations, man, get in between people, man, kind of, edge people out of situations where they
Right.
in a more safer environment where, whatever is about to occur cannot occur,
That's right.
because you will be held accountable for whatever you don't do in that particular situation,
Right.
especially when you're on that stage, man. RZA had to know this will come out. And I do feel like for RZA to represent the Wu Tang,
Right.
really not even just a black woman, any woman. The kind of shit that Wu-Tang say they about, man. Like I expect more, but whatever. I did feel a way about that. But I don't know, man. Like
Jaguar Wright had some
the
very
black, like the
specific
black.
things
Oh
to say.
boy, Jaguar, right?
Jaguar
She
Wright
sure did. She sure did. She sure did.
had some specific. So I wouldn't. This
I do
might be
feel like
par
in
for the
certain
course.
situations, I didn't grow up with the type of dudes that just let anything happen to black women. Like,
That's
I
great.
just didn't grow up with them
That's
kind of
good.
niggas.
Yeah, that's good. Because I've
Okay,
definitely had
okay,
to pull some
okay,
friends out of
okay.
a bathroom a time or two. I definitely had to do that before.
I
But
used
then
to have a rule. Oh,
yeah, I was
okay.
cock
Well,
blocked.
now I'm concerned about the bathroom. Like,
Yeah, I was considered the cock block because I did that. But my friend, I see her, she's too drunk. So it's like, no, I'm not about to let this go down. People
Right.
already
but I
know.
mean, but I mean, where was like, okay, that's what's
At a
up,
house
and
party.
and and are we saying that all the dudes wasn't doing nothing? Is that's what's being
All the dude, it was like five dudes. They pulling her. She 4'11". Okay, pulling her in the bathroom. At the time, it's like I was 9 months pregnant, but I was at this. I was 18. Okay, I was 18 years old. Well, 19 years old. So I'm at this party, 9 months pregnant. It was straight after my baby shower. This is what happened. Just regular hood things, and I had to pull her out of the bathroom because they like, oh yeah, we about to. No, not today. Not today. I can't allow. Even if my friend wanted to do it, I wouldn't be able to watch it go down and feel okay with it when I left.
Right.
So I had to pull her out of the situation.
yeah, that's being around some really shitty people. If
Right.
like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
dude is trying to rape her, like that's a situation that
yes,
those are people that you probably maybe wanted to shoot one
right.
of them niggas. Like one of them need to be
Oh,
hurt.
oh,
Like
oh,
for
I
real,
still got beef with
like
every
for
last
real.
one of them to this day.
Like that's not
That's not
those aren't people you want to
No,
right.
no, no, definitely not.
And then even like me being younger and taking my friends out to clubs or parties, the rule is if I bring you there, you're going home with me,
Right.
and you can
Right.
get his number and talk to him tomorrow.
Hmm.
But if I'm picking up from your mama's house, your daddy's house, whoever, your apartment, you need I'm not going to be the last person to pick you up and you not make it home safely.
Hmm.
So whatever one night stand situation you got trying to go on, you need to
Let's do
get
it
that
later
done tomorrow.
after the fact.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
yeah. So I make that clear before we go, and you leave with
Yeah,
me.
I just want to make I just try to I also want to make clear that yeah, I do feel like Russ Simmons probably guilty of this shit, but I do
Allegedly.
want to be careful about I am anti the criminalization of black men
I
at the
agree.
wholesale level. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like I'm not for that. I'm a black man, like
Hmm.
I still ride for the team, but
right,
I
Yeah.
do feel like I also ride with black women. That's the part of the
Hmm.
team too. I
right.
can't do nothing without a black woman. This is
I feel,
just what it is.
I
And
feel like
so
I
I
want.
do feel like, I just want to be careful about certain conversations because I do think that it might lend itself to this criminalization. But at the same time, yeah, if you need to be if we need to hold court, then we need to hold court.
Yeah, I think the only conversation that I hold is if you do something wrong, then it's wrong. It's
Right.
not
It's
because
wrong.
you're
It's wrong.
black or white. It is just wrong. And
It's wrong.
to say
It's
that,
wrong.
because I don't like to entertain the black men don't uh, support black women or whatever the conversation is. If something is wrong, it's wrong. It's just incorrect and it needs to be dealt with accordingly. It has nothing to do with what you look like, the community you're part of. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
You're
And
wrong.
I'm
No,
not going to let
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
slide. I'm not going to let you slide because you're a black man. No, you're trash and I need to let you know in this
Right.
moment. Okay?
Right.
So we need to bring the people that are not those people we need to lift them up higher so that they can be seen as the greatness that they are. You know, I'm not gonna let you slide for any old thing. I've been through too much to allow that to occur.
Right.
Right. Right.
You're right. And so that's what I was telling Ready Rock earlier was like, yeah, we definitely need to divide those motherfuckers away. Sorry.
Yes. No, that's what they are. They're exactly that.
Sorry.
I will accept no other description.
They need to be gone. Yeah, I'm
They need to be
dividing
gone.
amongst the sheep and the
Yeah.
wolves.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
divide
right,
that.
right. The sheep, right,
Divide
and that's the
because
problem that I have when I say like we've romanticized the '60s to the point where like we're saying silly shit, like this is not that's childish.
Right.
That's a child's understanding of
Mhm.
this political conversation that
Right.
we're supposed to all be best friends because we all look alike, we
Mhm.
all share the same history.
Nah.
I might go cuss my cousin out in a few minutes.
Right.
Like it's just this is we have to deal with reality here.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then even so another argument I had somebody gave me, it really disappointed me, was they mentioned the fact that Eldridge Cleaver admitted to raping women in his autobiography, and he was a former Black Panther. Um, I
I
didn't
don't
even.
understand. Like I don't be understanding what they got to do with anything. Like that's the same thing with the whole, Scottsboro brothers. And like you're right, absolutely. What they got to do with this dude here though?
I
This a new day. Like this is
yeah.
this has to be handled in its own way.
Like,
And I think all of it at the same time, I do have a problem when like I do bring up Tyson, Pac, and Mystical for a reason because they all did serve time. You know
Right.
what I mean? There has been
yes.
a punishment. There has been court documents. There's depositions that we can review. We can see what everybody's testimony was. We might not agree with the justice system, but unfortunately, this is what we have, and it does provide us with some data and some information about what
Mhm.
everybody did and what everybody said.
Right.
Yeah.
We knew Eldridge Cleaver after he came out, and I'm not saying that you should like just Eldridge Cleaver ain't like Eldridge Cleaver, it ain't exactly like you're supposed to worship that dude just because
Right.
I mean, yeah.
read Soul on Ice, study
You,
it,
I
and
got a copy in my car right now.
and don't buy the cock pants that he was selling. Like it's a lot of things that Eldridge Cleaver did, dog. So you might not
Right.
want to
And then
take
even after
everything.
the Panthers, he identified as a white, as a conservative Mormon. So, like,
Oh God.
He did a little bit of
He was
everything,
doing
man.
a
Eldridge
lot.
did a little
And
bit of everything.
if we do this straw man argument thing constantly, then we ain't never gonna stop arguing.
right.
Because you're just gonna bring up thing after thing after thing.
Yeah.
There's
I
I'm
a
was
not.
there's
doing
a
I'm
that.
not.
topic.
I'm not
There's a
exactly
topic.
sure
Stick
that
to the topic.
I don't have a problem with that conversation. I just think if you're going to raise it, you have to expect you have to understand that the response probably from my response typically is and like okay, but
Yeah.
that just doesn't have anything to do. And we can talk about it. We can talk about Cleveland. We can
Yeah.
talk about all these people that ain't got that don't they case
Yeah.
don't let
My
Russell
my
Simmons off the
response is
hook.
He's by
always
far not a Black
no.
Panther. I will
Yeah,
go
and then
far as
there's
to
that.
say that.
Right.
So
And Eldridge Cleaver got a whole lot. And I don't know nobody who worship Eldridge Cleaver like that. Like who
No,
still
nobody
like,
really
Solo
did.
Nights was very great writing. And Eldridge
It was a
Cleaver had
good
some
writing, yeah.
interesting political things, but
And y'all should have read that in your middle school or high school, not now.
right.
yeah. And then there's
So,
that. And then there's that.
Well,
And then
it
there's that.
inspired one of my favorite albums by Razkaz.
Razzcazz, yeah.
all
I'm
right.
not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Razzcazz only got 2 great albums, but
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
but they
Razcaz.
classics. They're classics though. He got some, like
I'm not saying that.
Yo,
No, but he was a dope. He was dope. He
He
needed
is a
more
dope. He's still a dope
notoriety.
lyricist. Just don't nobody listen to him.
Yes,
You know, he's still
yes.
a dope. You
I
know.
mean, that's true. That's true. He need. That's why I say he needed more notoriety. I knew I had Razzcast posters on my wall.
Interview with a Vampire and Nature of the Threat, like two
That's right.
hip hop classics that if you say
Yeah.
you into hip hop, you should have heard. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and
Right.
they are classics. They belong in hip hop. Whatever we come up with for people who actually love hip hop, they should be
Mhm.
there. But come on, man.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything, any concluding words to wrap this up, Mrs. Curvy Impact?
Well, I just want to say that women, the women in this documentary have almost become conditioned to accept whatever behavior they receive from men of power, which is very sad, and that attributes directly to how the justice system and our communities deal with sexual abuse, child abuse, and everything like that. So that's one of the important things that I wish would change about our society. We need to put these motherfuckers in jail, okay, immediately, okay, right now.
Right.
And it's not just an American issue; it's a worldwide issue. You see it in India, Africa, so on and so forth. It happens everywhere in every which way. But I think we should all support people when they do come out, and we can vet people's information. I don't see a problem with vetting victims information because we've seen too many times that people lie, and it goes like that. But that's all I have.
Yes. Oh, I didn't mean for you to stop. I was just saying good night to
No, no,
Kef.
Capra.
no. Oh, I
Good
didn't even
night,
see you
Capra.
wave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
And so, yeah, Owl's Asylum, do you have any last parting words?
Yeah. Same on same. I think that I'm like I said, I'm not trying to criminalize black men, and I don't even think that's part of the conversation. Like
No,
if
it's
you're a
not.
criminal, you're a criminal, dog. If you did some
Hmm.
dirty shit, you did some dirty shit, and I think
Right.
that some there has to be some type of way of handling that in our community. Um,
Hmm.
I hate that so many white companies and white people got money off this, but Russell, something happened. Something happened. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? By his own admittance,
Right.
something happened.
Right.
And
Hmm.
now this has occurred and we got to deal with it. It would have been nice had we not if we not had not to have to deal with it at all. Um
Hmm.
I agree with it everybody's saying. There is division in media. It's been division in media since before we were born. That's what it's for. It's to get it. It's a an advertising machine. It has to divide people because that's how it makes money. It's easier to
Hmm.
sell one group one thing than to try to sell it to everybody. So it's better to divide y'all into different things and sell you your red shirt, sell you your blue shirt, and that's how that works. But that doesn't mean that somebody who has raped somebody should be left off and we shouldn't talk about it.
Right.
And I
Right.
think we should be more adult about these kind of things
Hmm.
and yeah, that's my say. Owl's Asylum everywhere, by the way.
All right. And then the last thing I have to say is that Black women, it is no longer our role to hold our tongues to protect all Black men when it's not protecting all Black women.
Nope.
Um,
Right.
and that's all I have to say about that. We love you, brothers
Whew.
and sisters. Thank you
Short,
guys
sweet,
for
powerful.
Thank
participating with
you. It's
me.
an honor.
Bye.
Thanks for
Thank
having us on
you.
your platform.
All right, y'all have a good one. Peace.
All right. Good
Peace.
night.